Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Woo!
Here we are. It's game day,
Game
fellas.
day.
Are you
Game
ready?
day.
It's clinch day.
It's
9
clinch day.
How
hours.
about that? It's clinch day.
9 hours. We are looking for the first clinch in the history of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The Browns have never been to the playoffs in the history of the show.
What time's kickoff? I don't even know.
8:15.
8:15. 9 hours.
I kind of
and
need to
15
know
minutes.
that.
How did you not know that?
I don't know. I just show up early, and
You're
when the
just
ball
there.
goes in the air, it's time to start.
Right.
It's
Are you schmoozing a lot in the press box?
no, I don't. Do I look like a schmoozer?
No.
No.
I thought maybe.
No.
I thought maybe because it's other media people.
No, I get
But
there.
you-
We got to get there early because traffic is usually just nutty around
Yeah.
the stadium.
And it's going to
Yeah,
be crazy today.
Yeah.
It's going to be bonkers downtown.
yeah. I wonder how many people are not even going home from work. Just at it right to
Oh,
the community
sure,
lot
yeah,
or staying
probably.
downtown.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they're even working. Like today's
Yeah.
this is a big week
That's
to take
true.
off.
I knew Jason wasn't a schmoozer because he, like me, hates most media members.
No, I do not.
He
Don't
does.
you be getting me in
He
trouble. I
completely
got to
hates-
see these.
He hates everybody.
Oh, you're lying.
Hates everybody.
You're
No,
a liar.
I actually hate probably more people. No, actually, in the local media, I don't really hate too many people. Maybe a couple people who used to wear wigs, but I don't even know that guy really.
I think most of the people in the media have no idea what to do with me. If
What do you
we're
mean?
Being honest, I just
They have no idea.
I'm kind of a
what to do
rare
with
breed.
you. You are an odd duck. There's
Well, he
no
doesn't
doubt about it.
schmooze. He comes in, he drops a bomb, and then
Yeah,
leaves.
yeah,
And
yeah.
lets everyone else have to deal with the aftermath of
That's
the
happened in the
nuke
NBA
he
a
just
couple
You
shot.
don't get
Yeah.
involved in like a nice little Nate Ulrich, Scott Petrick, Darryl
I
Ryder
like Nate.
powwow.
I like Nate. I like those guys. We have
You were
dinner
just
together
telling me you
before.
hate. No, I'm kidding. He's never said anything bad about anyone.
We'll
I'm
eat
joking
din-
around.
We'll eat dinner
Go ahead.
before the game.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, so
all
you
eat
do
before the-
schmooze a little
If
bit.
that's schmoozing, like
How's the Browns media spread before games?
I heard it's terrible.
It's not. So a lot of NFL teams have really cranked it up the last few years,
Yeah.
and it's unbelievable. The Browns, no.
Are they the worst in
food
the league?
I haven't been to all of them, but I'd put them in the bottom half for sure. Although they did add an omelet bar this year, which is exquisite.
Okay.
nice.
But they cook the omelets wrong. They do it wrong.
What do you mean?
I've spent enough time in Marriott M clubs. I know how you cook an omelet. You start with the ingredients. You don't start
Right,
with the
you
egg.
put the ingredients
You
in the
put the
pan.
ingredients.
Yeah, because
and-
you got to cook it. The eggs the fastest part of the cook.
And then you put the eggs in.
Otherwise, the eggs get overcooked.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't flip. There's one lady there. You're my girl. She flips. She flips now.
gotta flip these.
But
gotta
you,
flip.
you start with the ingredients.
Yeah.
And then you put the egg in, and you have to flip. It's too runny if you don't. And it's all in the wrist. The flip is in the wrist.
Do you do this at home?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a phenomenal breakfast. I don't.
When I went
can
to
do
Christmas at
breakfast.
Jason's,
Yeah.
he had a whole breakfast slate.
Yeah.
I had to decline because I wanted to save room for lunch, but he had like an egg frittata, French toast,
Well,
bacon.
Alessia made the egg dish,
well.
but I made the French toast and bacon. I'm a
Yeah.
big breakfast. I can
So
do.
you made breakfast
I can do a
and
mean
dinner?
breakfast. Oh yeah, yeah.
And you didn't partake in any of the breakfast?
Well, I had 2 lunches I had to go to, so I don't want
He
to.
had to pace himself.
Yeah.
I get
AJ likes the French toast I make, so I made a whole loaf of like the brioche thick French
Yeah,
toast.
I love that.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
learned AJ, who's giant,
Yeah.
doesn't eat any regular food. He eats chicken and pizza and French toast.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's it. Like
That's
chicken,
eats three
chicken
things.
nuggets, pizza, pasta,
I mean, that's not
mac and cheese.
that unusual for a kid.
But he's 13 and like 6'8", 243 pounds. You think he was just inhaling
AJ is gonna
calories?
love
but
college.
yeah, like I mean, he's gonna.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not an issue. It's just I was shocked to see that he's
Well,
not
it
just
is. I mean,
inhaling
you
normal
want
food.
kids to eat more healthily. You know,
Yeah,
I'm trying for my son not to be fat. I don't want him to be fat because I've suffered my whole life being fat. I don't want him to, so I want him to try to eat healthful things.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get kids to eat healthful things.
Yeah, AJ eats a
Most
ton of
kids.
fruit. He loves.
Yeah, Aaron
fruit.
eats a lot of fruit
Yeah.
too. But getting them to eat
Melon,
vegetables,
grapes, no
is
chance.
tough.
Yeah,
All
he
right.
won't eat- same thing. Won't eat-
Aaron
won't
will eat
touch a
cucumber.
vegetable.
That's it.
So is my daughter. Ava eats cucumbers.
it.
That's weird.
Do you want to eat any of the veggies?
No, not really.
There's some kid. My son has a friend named Burke. Very nice kid. Very nice family.
What's up, Burke?
They're away. They're actually in California. They're a very nice family. And this kid eats, all he does is eat healthy food. He eats vegetables. He eats, I'm like, he won't even eat like pizza and chicken nuggets. He's the opposite.
Wow.
That is crazy.
This kid, I mean, they did something right. But, it's hard getting kids to eat healthy foods.
We're going to talk about it in overtime.
Yeah.
And we're going to spend the rest of the hour and 50 minutes on the Browns.
Yeah, we're getting ready. But
real quick.
Yeah.
Cavs had a hell of a comeback last night. In my opinion, the best one of the season. A 20-point deficit in the first half. Erased it.
Against
And
a good team.
Against a
On
good
the
team
road.
on the road.
Yeah.
And a couple guys who needed to step up, stepped up in a massive match. We're going to spend overtime on it, so I'm not ignoring you guys. It is
Jared Allen had a big
game. Day, but do want to give them a little shout-out
That's
on the
right.
real show, and we'll talk about it in overtime.
And really, the most shocking thing from last night's game was that Kyrie was out with an injury. I mean, who could have possibly predicted that? Wow.
The only thing more predictable than that was you mentioning that on the show
Yeah,
today.
well, because I put it in the text yesterday.
Who on your detest meter ranks higher, Baker or Kyrie? It's got to be Kyrie. I think.
Now it's Kyrie, yeah.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I love when they were here, I liked Kyrie way more than I like Baker.
That's
Kyrie
interesting.
Kyrie was like my favorite Cavalier.
It's
I really
that
liked
thin
him.
line between love and hate.
Well, I hate the way. First of all, he's anti-Semitic, so that puts him on my hate list. And then just the way he left here was and he just acts like an ass.
Is he your number one disliked
No,
athlete?
no, Trevor Bauer,
Oh, okay.
who I hope does not get a job in Major League Baseball and hasn't until this point.
Yeah, I don't think he will now.
Bauer's up there. I don't really.
Is that your Mount Rushmore
Nah,
of hatred?
Baker is not.
Baker, Kyrie, Bauer.
Baker's not in that cat. I don't hate him
Really?
that way.
Wow.
Nah, Bauer and Kyrie, I think they're bad guys.
I think with
I don't think
Baker-
Baker's a bad guy.
I think with Baker, you just want to be right. You just want to be on the right side of history, so you root for him to be bad, so you
not
don't get
really.
looked like a numbskull.
I don't. I actually, when he left here, I didn't think he was going to be terrible. I didn't think he was going to be as bad as he was last year.
That's exactly right.
I thought he'd be a serviceable player.
Right.
I was just like, well, you need somebody better than
Right,
serviceable.
right. He's a good quarterback. He's not.
He's
not
fine.
good.
He's
Yeah.
fine. And this year he's playing even better than I thought he would have. But he's playing in a bad division. But kudos to him. I mean, he's having a solid year. I'm not gonna crap on him. All right, but yeah, we will get to the Cavs in overtime and their good win. But a lot to get to today. We'll start on the injury front, but first we go to Anthony on the other side of the glass. Anthony?
Yeah, guys, before we get into everything today, I want to remind you that as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot over on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Guys, we mentioned it briefly yesterday. It's been 21 years since the Browns have clinched a playoff game at home. They obviously haven't played a playoff game, at home in forever. But we're looking to this year. They're probably going to play on the road. It's still possible, depending on what happens these last couple of weeks. And even if they end up as the 5 seed, depending on how the playoffs play out, they could end up at home
In the second
anyway.
round, yeah.
Especially if, let's say the Bills are the 6th seed, okay? If the Bills end up the 6th seed, it's not crazy that we could see a Bills-Browns AFC championship game. And if that happened, it would be in Cleveland.
It'd be awesome.
Wow.
That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If let's say the Browns finishes the 5 and the Bills finishes the 6, so that means the Browns would play the Jaguar. We'll say the
winner
Jaguars,
of the AFC
AFC
South.
South
Yeah.
winner in the first round, and then the Bills would probably, if the Bills were the 6, that means they lost to the Dolphins or the Dolphins beat the Ravens, which means probably the Chiefs are the 3 seed.
They could beat the
right
Chiefs.
now. I don't think anybody would be stunned if the Chiefs lost to the Bills.
No.
So let's say the Bills beat the Chiefs and the Browns beat the Jaguars. Okay, so we'll assume the Dolphins beat whoever's the 7th seed. Let's go on to that. So now the Bills would play
The Dolphins.
the Ravens. No, in the second
Oh,
round.
yeah.
Bills
Okay.
would play the Ravens, and the Browns would play the Dolphins. Would anybody be shocked if the Bills beat the Ravens and the Browns beat the Dolphins? I'm not saying they're the favorite. I'm saying
It's
could
not.
happen.
It's not.
Absolutely.
neither
could
would be a
happen, yeah.
shocking thing. So then it would be AFC Championship, Bills and Browns. That's how we get there.
In Cleveland.
That'd be
In
fun.
Cleveland.
That's now what I'm
Can you-
hoping. That's now
can
what I'm
you
hoping
imagine?
for. And Detroit and the NFC wins. So
Yeah.
I want
Well, what
Bills.
you're really hoping is that somehow whoever the 7th seed is, that team gets to the AFC Championship. Because you'd rather play that team,
Than
even
the
though they've
Bills.
had 2 nice wins. You'd rather
Yeah.
play that team than the Bills. But still,
I do want to see a Cleveland-Detroit Super Bowl.
In a
that
perfect
would
world.
just be an unbelievable clash of fans.
yeah, I'll be surprised if the Lions get to the Super Bowl. I think the Browns have a better chance to get in the Super Bowl than the Lions. What
Oh,
say you guys?
I agree too,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Now, I think both teams are close in terms of how good they are. I think the AFC's better, like 1 through 10, than the NFC is. But the top of the NFC is better than the top of the AFC.
I like Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas more than Detroit in a playoff.
Yeah.
Setting. In a one-game playoff game,
Yeah.
I would take any of those three over Detroit.
It's hard to say Dallas because they haven't won anything, but neither is Detroit.
Yeah, but they've still at least gotten there more than Detroit has.
That's true. Although
So-
Jared Goff has gotten to a Super Bowl.
He has.
And he's playing pretty well overall. All right, let's talk about the injuries for tonight's game, guys. Obviously, we know that Dustin Hopkins is not going to play. He's already been ruled out. Corey Bojorquez has been listed as doubtful.
Yeah. More than likely.
When a guy is doubtful, he almost never plays. It happens once in a blue moon. I can't imagine. There's really no reason. He's a punter anyway.
There's no need.
What are you going to play him? Okay,
need.
so he's probably out. Now, we already knew those, or we assumed both those guys would be out. It is, so at this point, it's not a big deal. But Amari Cooper now, dealing with he was out of practice earlier in the week, and it said it was non-football related. But in the last 24 hours, it's come out he has a heel injury, the latest injury for him. And Tom Pelissero this morning said Amari Cooper hopefully can play tonight against the Jets, but his status remains up in the air per sources. The short week is tough. Cooper knows his body well. They'll get a better sense closer to kickoff. How concerned are we, Mike, start with you, about Amari Cooper?
I mean, Amari Cooper's a warrior. So if he's capable and physically able to play, I would expect to see Amari Cooper out there tonight against the New York Jets. It's a short week. He's a veteran receiver. He's 29 years old, 28 years old. But as Tom said, he knows his body better than anyone else. If he's good in warm-ups, I think the sense would be he does play.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. He's played through injuries before. He did miss a game. He's been injured with the ribs, and he had the concussion that he cleared protocol with. But throughout his career, when he's available, he's been able to play. So I would be surprised if he's not in action tonight. But I do think when you look at the matchup between the Browns and the Jets, and especially the Browns receivers versus the Jets cornerbacks, if Amari's not there, it presents a big problem for the Browns because I don't trust Elijah Moore, Tillman, David Bell, and whoever else they throw at receiver, Marquise Goodwin, who's also questionable, to beat some of these Jets cornerbacks. We're going to do our draft later.
Yeah.
The Jets secondary is really good, and they have three really good cornerbacks. So if Amari's not there, at least the advantage in terms of that matchup, Jets secondary versus Browns receivers minus Amari,
Right.
skews heavily towards the Jets.
Go ahead, Jay.
I agree. You're right. The Jets secondary is terrific. The Jets defense is great. I don't think the Browns necessarily need Amari Cooper to win this game. I don't think the Jets are that good of a team. I think they're out of it. They came back. They had a nice comeback last week. Like they haven't given up on the season. They had a big lead.
Well, they blew a lead.
I know, but they fought back. And
But
won
they
the
did
game.
get the game-winning
They
field
didn't just
goal.
roll over and die.
Yeah.
They fought back, so they haven't given up on the season. I just think the Browns are a better football team. I think they're a better coach team, and I think they're a more talented team. The Amari injury is concerning only because, sort of what Mike said, he's dealt with a lot this year. And you just want him healthy for the postseason, really, at this point. So if he can go, he's going to go. Mm-hmm. I do expect he probably will go. If he doesn't, then I think they can win the game anyway. We were talking about it before we started. We can get to this a little bit later, but I really think that they need to try and rest guys for that Bengals game. I know they could still be in it for the top seed and all that. We can talk about that later. But really, some of these guys just need their bodies to rest. They need a week off. But until you clinch, you can't really do that. So if Amari can go tonight, he's going to go. But I think they can beat the Jets without him.
I think they can win without him, too. I think obviously I don't like their chances as much without him because, as you said, I mean, he's their only real threat at wide receiver. Obviously, without him, your best threat is now the tight end and obviously David Njoku. The Jets' defense is good, but their offense I still think the Browns have a way better defense than the Jets do. I don't know if the Jets aren't that good up front. I know Quinnen Williams is really good. The rest of their front seven is fine, but it's not, their secondary is their strength. Their corners in particular are really good. So, it makes a big difference because Amari Cooper, I don't care who's defending Amari Cooper. He's going to make his plays most games. He's going to get open, and a guy like Joe Flacco is going to find him. But it does, whether Amari Cooper plays or not doesn't change the fact that the Jets have one of, if not the most inept offense in all of the league.
It's funny. I asked Earl this morning. I was like, if Amari doesn't play, let's say you're at 100%, they beat the Jets with Amari.
Yeah.
Where does it drop to? He's like 85. And I was like, I don't totally disagree because I'm not quite sure the Jets can score on the Browns. At the end of the day, like 6 points in theory could win this game. But I was doing some digging. And the Amari Flacco combination, since he's taken over as a starter, has been awesome. And these are just some numbers. In 4 games, he has 25 catches. That's 35% of his season total in 4 games.
Yeah.
485 yards in 4 games, obviously boosted by the 265 last week. That's 40% of his season total. He has 3 touchdowns with Joe. He had 2 touchdowns in 11 games without Joe. And his passer rating when targeted, 106.3, which is 20 points higher than any other quarterback who's targeted him. So there's obviously a beautiful connection between Amari and Joe. And would take him out. He's throwing at guys that I just don't trust yet.
If you project those numbers over a full season, I mean, that's
best in the league.
That's 200 catches? No. You said he had 25 catches.
Yeah, it's 100 catches, 2,000 yards, and 15 touchdowns.
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. In the end, I think we're probably all in agreement. I'll be surprised if Amari Cooper doesn't play tonight.
Here's the one thing I think that could trouble the Browns tonight. And it was the one thing that we talked about when P.J. Walker was the quarterback. You can't have turnovers. You can't give him a short field. With Joe, there was a little bit more room for error that if he did turn the ball over, he's going to get it back going the other way. If Amari doesn't play tonight, I think the turnover concern becomes real.
Good point.
That's
because
true.
It's going to be harder to get the big chunk plays down the field. Although I think Njoku could be a massive mismatch for the Jets tonight.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to put a cornerback on him, he'd kill him.
Yeah.
And are their linebackers really capable of keeping up with him? So,
C.J. Mosley was good, but he's a little older.
Yeah.
And Quincy Williams is talented, but I don't think he's on Njoku's level.
So I think Njoku could be a really good mismatch for the Browns tonight against a really good Jets backfield, a defensive secondary. But I do become a little bit more concerned about some of the turnovers Joe's had if Amari's not there to sort of get it back on the other side.
Right. I think in the end, though, I'd be surprised if Amari doesn't play.
I would too.
Right? I mean, I expect him to go tonight. By the way, I was just thinking how this could be the shortest panel we've ever had on the show.
3, 5, 8, 5.
Because I had like my leg kind of stretched out, and normally we got like either G next to me or Tyvis or whatever. But you guys are just as short as I am, so I don't have to worry about stretching out
short
the leg.
week, short panel, and then it goes,
exactly.
it plays.
So
that's mean, Steve.
Oh, come on!
That's mean.
Why don't you just put me in the little baby chair too while you're at it? We got that chair I used to have to sit in.
Yeah, that was bad.
Oh.
All right, so in terms of other injuries, Juan Thornhill obviously hasn't played. He has practiced a little bit this week. Is it a big deal? I mean, listen, the guys who have filled in at safety, there's been no drop-off.
Yeah.
But Thornhill was starting for a reason. So if he
Sure.
can play, it gives you more depth. It's a positive.
It's crazy because I remember when he first went out, I thought, man, this is a big deal. This is a big loss back there. He's done a nice job of keeping the big plays in front of him. And he goes out, and I think McLeod missed 1 or 2, and he let a couple out of the gate. But the 2 guys have been in there, D'Anthony Bell and Hickman have been terrific back there.
Yeah.
They haven't missed a beat.
Hickman has 11 tackles and a pass defend in the last 2 weeks. If you didn't know he was an undrafted rookie and you took nameplates off the jersey and just watched his play at the safety position, I didn't see a big drop-off from what Thornhill does. I think the one thing that Thornhill brings that the other guys may not is just the consistency. He's seen everything. There might be a chance the Jets can get him on a double move or some sort of crossing pattern off play action where Hickman gets a little confused that Thornhill just has the experience of.
Right.
But in the 2 games that he's been called on to play, he's played as well and on par with what you would expect from a free agent safety you brought in like Thornhill.
Right.
And that's not even a knock on Thornhill.
And
that's a testament to Hickman.
And you wonder if because, you're not really worried about the Jets' offense.
No.
And you'd like to get Thornhill completely healthy for the playoffs. You wonder if they decide to hold him out. And then maybe next week, if you have a chance to win the division,
back up.
you play him next week. We'll see what they decide to do.
Now, in terms of deep passing, I was going through looking at Trevor Siemian, and his numbers last week are the biggest mirage of you can't trust what a box score says. He completed 27 passes last week. 24 came either behind the line of scrimmage or within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. He completed 3 passes that traveled more than 5 yards in the air.
Jeez.
That's nothing. 27. He had 12 dump downs to Breece Hall.
Yeah.
One of his passes to Breece Hall was in front of the line of scrimmage.
I mean, that's really my biggest concern for the Browns defense. They have struggled at times with running backs catching passes.
Yeah.
And Breece Hall's been really good at that in recent weeks. That's really the biggest concern. But I'm sure that Jim Schwartz has been harping on that all this week.
And you also don't have to play back, though. Your secondary could play up tight and eliminate the space between the running back slipping out the field because you're just not worried about Trevor Siemian beating you deep.
No.
And Garrett Wilson's an awesome player.
Yeah, but he's the only guy they got.
If Garrett Wilson beats you deep, so be it, because that
Yeah.
still means Trevor Siemian has to pass the ball and connect on a pass.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that anyway because Denzel Ward could play him.
I'm just saying that takes an element out that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Trevor Siemian at all.
If he's throwing all dump-off passes, which is basically what he's doing, I mean, Schwartz will have a game plan figured out for that, you would think. And he's seeing what everybody's seeing, that he's thrown a ball a lot to Breece Hall out of the backfield, and that's where he's piled up a lot. Yesterday I was like, he seems like he's playing great. I was surprised his yards per carry. Well, part of the reason I thought that is because he's put up huge receiving numbers in recent weeks, and obviously that's not part of his yards per carry.
You triggered my ADD with that, so I had to go look up. I had to go look up Simeon's ADOT last week. 3 yards. Average depth of target last week against Washington was 3.1 yards.
And that's against the worst defense. I think Washington's got the worst defense in the NFL.
We talk about the Browns only allow opponents to score on 24% of drives. They were number 1 in the NFL. Washington was 32nd heading into last week at 46.5%. And he could barely move the ball. And their secondary is atrocious.
So if Simeon can't throw it downfield against Washington, the worst defense in football, what's he going to do against the best defense in football?
Yeah. How many times have we seen teams try and beat the Browns with these quick passing games?
It doesn't really work.
It never works. The only way to really get them is on deep shots down the field. They have given up a few of those.
And it is pick your poison because to pass deep, you have to obviously protect your quarterback.
Yeah.
And that allows Myles Garrett, Za'Darius, Dalvin Tomlinson, Alex Wright, who I thought played a really good game last week, by the way, to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. The Jets' offensive line, if you go by PFF grades, their highest graded offensive lineman's a 57. Like total, not pat, like total overall grade.
Even Quinnen Williams?
Offensive line.
Offensive line.
Offensive line, which means Myles Garrett and company should be able to eat tonight.
Right.
If
no,
they
their
decide
offensive
to
line
throw the ball.
stinks.
It's terrible, yeah.
Mekhi Becton's a bust.
And he's the highest. He's a 57.
Right.
And their best offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker's hurt.
Right.
He's out for the season. They have nobody else.
Couple other injuries worth talking about as well. Anthony Walker is out again this week. Is it 2 or 3 games in a row?
Second?
I think it's a second.
He didn't play. Taki filled in great last week for him.
He did. It doesn't seem like obviously it's not a season-ending injury, or they would have put him on IR. I wonder, like I mentioned with Thornhill, I wonder if at this point they're kind of saying, we'll see you in the playoffs when it comes to Anthony Walker. What do we think?
Probably.
I mean, at this point, you have to be thinking about that a little bit. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know until you clinch, but
no, you have to.
You have to be thinking about that a little bit. And Marquise Goodwin also questionable for this game. He had the big completion 2 weeks ago. I don't think was he even targeted this week. I can't remember.
Yeah, on the interception.
Oh, he was?
Yeah,
Wasn't
you're
that
right.
him?
You're right.
His
the
only target
deep
was
shot down the field.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was him.
I thought he could have put up a little bit more of a fight on that, actually, on that interception.
I made the joke that we learned Joe Flacco's arm strength at 38, which is 64 yards when he needed to throw at 67. And if you can only throw at 64 yards at 38 years old, Joe, then
was that the last play of the half?
No,
that was the
first
interception.
interception. It was the deep ball, the last interception.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the injury report. Go ahead.
Real more, one quick one.
Yeah.
So we mentioned it, I think, really quick yesterday, but Ogbo obviously out today, out tonight, won't play in Week 18, but he's trying to make his way back for the postseason. And I don't know how.
He's not on IR either.
No, and I'm
That's
not sure
why I
how
haven't put him on IR.
torn pecs work, but like him and Mo Hurst in the same game tore their pecs. Mo Hurst done for the year. Ogbo is trying to, at least if you read the reports, trying to come back for the postseason. And if he can make it back from a torn pec within 5 weeks, it happened in the Jacksonville game, to a postseason, that dude's on the Myles Garrett level of you're not human like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Your body composition and your muscles and tendons
They had
are
the exact same
alien-like.
injury?
Well, no two tears are.
Yeah, but
that's
they both,
identical.
quote unquote, if look at the injury report, torn pec for both.
Yeah.
One's done for sure, and
Right.
one's working his
Maybe
way back
one
in the playoffs.
tore it more. Who knows?
Yeah,
Partial,
there's degrees to
complete,
all.
yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
why he's not on IR yet. If you
Right.
put him on IR, then he.
But they
he's
could have
not-
brought him back after 4 games.
They put Delpit on IR.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, at this point, if you put him on IR now, he's out for the playoffs.
No, I'm saying, but you could have put him on IR
When it
because he
happened.
got hurt
Oh,
after
when
the
it first
Jackson-
happened.
Right.
Well,
at this
yeah.
point, At this point now, they just put DTR on IR. Couldn't he come back if they were in the AFC Championship game?
If he's healthy,
Yeah.
it would be 4 weeks.
Right.
Was Jacksonville? Was it really 4 weeks after Jacksonville? With that?
Because
were
then
there 4 games?
Chicago, Houston.
Chicago. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He'd be
Chicago,
able to come
Houston,
back for the
Jets,
playoffs.
Bengals. He
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
back for week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they
So-
could have put him on IR right after the
Right,
injury.
but maybe they thought he'd be back even sooner. I
Maybe.
guess
Yeah.
that's a possibility there. So, as has been the case all season long, the Browns have dealt with injuries. That I don't think they've gone a single week without somebody of at least some importance dealing with injury, and that's why obviously you said Well, hopefully they can rest their players.
Yeah.
We were talking. No, we don't have this on the rundown. We'll get to the Joe Flacco thing in just a minute, but we have to see how it plays out. But you were saying you thought that they should rest players even
Here's
if they.
here's
Go
the
ahead.
thing. If you have a chance to win the division, you have to go for it.
Right.
You have to go for it. I'm just saying it's not the worst thing if Baltimore clinches it before then, so you can rest guys the last week.
If you're not going
because
to win,
so many things have to fall your way.
Yeah.
So many things. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not even maybe.
Well, the final week of the season, there'll be 3 games that have to go their way for
Right.
them to. I'm sorry, only 2 to win the division, 3 to be the 1 seed.
So if you have it in front of you,
Yeah.
you have to go for it.
Right.
You have to go for it. I do agree with that. I'm just saying I don't think it's the worst thing if that's wrapped up ahead
Right.
of time and you can rest Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
You can rest. I mean, Flacco shouldn't be that banged up. He just got here.
Yeah.
But it's just eliminating the risk of injury.
You're saying yeah, because essentially they'll probably not end up getting it anyway.
Right.
So better if you're not going to win the division to have it locked up by the Ravens this week.
Give these guys, get them off their feet
Yeah.
for a week. We know they've had a ton of injuries. It's not the worst thing in the world if Baltimore has it clinched and wrapped up prior to the Bengals game so
Right.
that you can just rest everyone for the last game.
I don't completely disagree. I mean, like you said, if it's in front of you and there's a
You
chance
have
to get
to
the
go
1
for
seed
it.
division, you have to go
Yeah.
for it. Balls
Yeah.
to the wall, no excuses. If you're banged up, you still have a chance to get the 1 seed, which gives you the bye. But there are a lot. I mean, you think back to when the Browns had their bye week this season. That was pre-San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Pre-San Fran, that was 70,000 injuries ago. It was 4
Right.
quarterbacks ago,
Yeah.
or 3 quarterbacks ago. So to get that bye heading into the
Yeah.
playoffs, to get some of the veterans who have played 12, 13 games in a row now.
Yeah.
Sorry, my math.
Yeah,
I
not
hate
your
the
strong
17.
suit.
I hate the 17 game.
Love
18
17
weeks.
games.
No,
I
I
want
like the
18.
games. I just hate the counting. It throws me off.
Yeah.
But for them to have a little bit of time off to recover, get their bodies back to where they need to be for a
Yeah,
playoff push.
I get it.
It's not the worst case scenario.
Somebody was arguing with me. It might have been you that I don't want to sit Joe Flacco. I don't want to lose the momentum of what this offense is.
No, I did say that.
I do. Joe Flacco's not sitting. He's
I'm
not one of.
sitting,
He's
John.
not one of the veterans that's sitting for me.
See, I disagree.
I
I'm
would
sitting.
sit him.
I'm
But,
sitting
You guys are
everybody.
crazy.
but
You guys are
he
crazy.
is in such a good rhythm that you do hate messing with him.
I'm not
right
touching.
now.
Yeah, I'm not messing with that at all. Now Cooper, Batonio, any guy who's
So you're going to
banged
play
up-
Joe Flacco
But you're
behind
gonna
a
rest the
banged
line?
up offensive lineman? What do you have?
Okay,
You mind?
okay, that was dumb.
No.
I'm sorry, that was stupid. I take that back.
He's not going to have anyone to throw
right,
to.
right,
No,
Nobody
listen,
protects him. But by
I'm not
God,
taking
I'm
Joe
telling
Flacco.
you,
I'm not taking Joe Flacco out of this rhythm.
If the Browns
I'm not.
if the Browns win this week and clinch, and the Ravens beat the
Miami.
Dolphins, I don't think anybody's playing against the Bengals, and I wouldn't play anybody.
I wouldn't play anyone. I would not play. I'd sit Batonio.
Yes.
I'd sit Teller. I'd sit Posick. If you have
I'm
enough
sitting
linemen.
Flacco.
Oh, you're
100%.
definitely sitting Flacco if you sit those guys. Set Amari down
Yep.
and
I
let Said
hate
Tillman
that.
go wild.
I don't even say I disagree.
I'd
I just
sit-
hate.
I sit Kareem
breaking that
Hunt,
rhythm.
too. He's a veteran. I let Pierre Strong be the lead back, see what he's got.
Yeah.
Let him
Yeah.
play that game. And I'm sitting anybody important on defense. I don't care. Because
Miles for sure gets the week off.
I get
What
you-
if
and-
Miles in the DPOY conversation? He
I
needs
know,
that game.
and he's going to fight you tooth and
No,
nail.
he doesn't play.
But I'm not playing
That's
him.
ridiculous.
I'm not playing him.
Denzel Ward, no chance.
No chance.
No way.
No chance.
No.
I don't want Denzel playing in the preseason. I definitely don't want him playing in a week 17.
Listen. I hear everything you guys are saying, and I'm
Yeah.
not even saying that if I think about it longer, I would totally disagree.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, what he's doing right now, we talked about it with
Doesn't
everyone all week.
matter. He's a veteran.
It's a magical ride.
Yeah.
And I do believe. And
It's
we
a
see-
bye week.
But we see it all the time. Listen, we see it all the time in the
Yeah.
playoffs. The hottest team, it's not necessarily the best team that wins, it's
Yeah.
the hottest team going into the postseason. And yes, teams deal with bye weeks all the time. It happens. There's something special and clicking about what they're doing right now
Mike.
that I would be terrified.
So
So then they
breaking
should
up.
give up the bye if they get the number one
Yeah,
seed.
exactly.
They should give up the bye
So Joe
and offer
Flacco
to
can
play.
keep playing?
so they can keep
Who were the
playing.
2 1 seeds last year?
I don't remember. I'm sure they lost. That's why
the
you're going
Chiefs.
here, right?
Were the Chiefs?
Yes.
Were the Eagles?
I don't remember.
I think
I don't remember.
so.
I think the Eagles were too. Maybe this is
Yeah.
the worst.
I don't know.
But your argument would have to be the one seed to lose in the first round. That would be the argument.
Yeah, I'll go
And
back.
that doesn't happen.
I just
Often.
I would say I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I'd be terrified. I think you actually guys are right. I'm just saying personally, I'd be terrified to mess with the rhythm the Browns have
Well,
offensively.
yeah, that's a real concern. But I think that it's opportunity
you got
cost.
to give something to get something.
And,
I understand
and the reward of getting these guys off their feet for a week when they did have such an early bye week outweighs messing with the rhythm. To me, at least. Like,
Yeah.
you have to sit these guys.
I was trying.
If there's nothing to play for.
I think the Eagles were the 1 seed last year, but I think the year before both 1 seeds lost very early. Like Baltimore lost as the 1 seed, Tennessee lost as the 1 seed real early. A couple of years ago at the bye.
That's because they were frauds, not because they were the ones.
I don't think anyone. I remember that. I don't think anyone
Yeah.
bought Tennessee.
No, we all
Yeah.
picked the Bengals. I think everyone picked the Bengals to beat them, and the Bengals.
Well, they
did.
weren't. I don't think they were the 1 seed because the Bengals beat them. It wouldn't have played in the first round.
Was Tennessee the one? I remember Tennessee looking
Tennessee
at them going,
was
they're
the
a
1
total
seed.
fraud.
Yeah.
They were the 1 or the 2. I don't think they were the 1. I don't know. Anyway, Anthony, see if you can look it up. Who were the 1 seeds last year?
I'm pretty sure it's
and
the
the
Eagles
year
and Chiefs,
before.
yeah.
The bottom line is Joe Flacco's a veteran.
Yeah.
If they clinch it and the Ravens win, that's it. The Browns are locked into the 5 seed. There's nowhere they can go if that happens. So the Browns at this point, if they win against the Jets, can only be the 1, the 2, or the 5. Those are the only 3 spots they can finish. And
That's a pretty good spot to be in.
it is.
That's a really good spot
It
because you're
is.
either getting a home playoff game or you're getting the AFC South champ.
Right.
I'll take either one of those.
Right. Although, if it ends up being the Texans, that makes me a little, if Stroud's playing, which he will
They
be by
just
the
beat
playoffs.
the living dog crap out of the Texans. I'm just
They're
not.
a different team.
There's
with
a big
Stroud.
difference.
I get that. I get
There's
that.
a big
but
difference between Case Keenum and C.J. Stroud. I still think the Browns would win, but there's a huge difference. They're not going to kick the crap out of the Texans with C.J. Stroud.
Right.
They could win, but I don't think they're going to kill them like they killed the Texans already.
Anthony,
Go
who
ahead,
were the
Anthony.
1 seeds last year?
It was the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Look at the year
Yeah,
before.
there you
Anything
go.
else?
Yeah, no. That was a bad. But I'm just. Once again, I get what you guys are saying. I'm
Yeah,
not. I
yeah.
just. Something special is happening right now, and it scares me to do anything to derail that momentum. Even though you guys are probably right in the grand scheme, the big picture,
Yeah.
I would be.
Well, then they better lose to Cincinnati so that they can keep playing and not get the week off. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not even disagreeing with you. I just think, I don't want anything to. Listen, you guys said it yesterday, both. What Joe Flacco's doing is magical,
Yeah.
and you
So
hope it
what's the
continues.
difference if he sits for one extra week?
Because he's right now, he's red. It's like a shooter
So he'll
of
be red
basketball.
hot. He'll still
But
be red hot.
No, I hear what Mike's saying. There's validity to it. It just doesn't. It's not enough to outweigh the benefit of the rest and eliminating the risk of injury
Right.
right before the playoffs.
Let's win tonight,
Go-
and then we can have the discussion.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Anthony. Who was 21?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Who were the 1 seeds in 21? Did you get that?
Oh, and 21? Here, give me 1 second. I didn't
see if we can
realize
get
you
that.
need
I'm just curious.
Tennessee had it, and
Oh, was Tennessee?
the Packers had it.
Oh yeah, take that.
Is that why they lost?
Take that.
Is that why they lost?
How the hell did the Titans get the number 1 seed?
My point.
Because that division stinks.
The Titans
is
were
a bad
12 and 5 in 21.
They were good.
The Packers were
Nah, they
13 and
weren't.
4.
Packers were and they lost in the first game too.
Yeah, well, if Aaron did they, I don't know. Maybe they sat for 2 weeks. Maybe that was the problem.
So 1 seeds are 2-2, and getting eliminated, or 2 for 4 and getting eliminated in the first game bye week. So now
were
look,
they both eliminated in the first game? I don't think the Packers were eliminated in
yeah,
the first
did
game.
the
were they?
Packers lose the first game?
Let me look it up.
You're putting a lot of pressure on Anthony.
I know,
right
and he's back there by himself. Anthony, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
20. We'll look at it. 20, 21. This is great. NFL playoffs.
It doesn't matter.
We'll
We'll say that they did for the sake of Mike's argument.
No,
it doesn't.
We're gonna look. I'm looking it up right now. Divisional playoffs. Bengals beat the Titans.
Green Bay lost to San Francisco.
There you go.
Thank you. So
All right,
you know
you
what?
better sit everyone because 2 years ago the team lost. Or you better make them play. Make
Yeah,
everybody
right,
play.
just make it as. Hey, let's win tonight first.
Yeah.
Let's win tonight first.
Yeah.
Then we can have that discussion. Because if
Yeah.
they lose tonight, then it's all null and
Then
void.
you gotta
going-
play.
Yeah, then you
Right.
gotta play. So
because there are scenarios like the Browns are 99% to make the playoffs.
It's like last year when they beat the Jets or when they lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
It was 99% they were
Yeah.
going to win.
So let's-
Everybody thought it was in the
no,
bag.
no. I'm saying the Browns have a 99% chance to
Right,
make the playoffs. Where
but it's not 100.
It's not 100. There is a scenario. I was playing with the ESPN playoff, and I kept doing all these permutations. I was like, I don't
There
find
is a
one that the Browns
scenario
don't,
where
but
the
there
Jets
is with a
score, the
bunch of
Browns
games.
don't cover the onside kick,
Yeah.
the Jets
Yeah.
get it
No,
back.
I'm saying there's a scenario where if the Browns lost out,
Yes,
where they could
that's
miss
what
the
I'm
playoffs.
saying. The Browns were 99% to beat the Jets last year.
Oh,
Everyone
I see.
thought it was in
Yeah.
the bag.
I got you.
And they found a way to throw up all over their shoes. They're 99% now. We
Yeah.
all assume, and I think they're going to make it. But, yeah,
Right.
there's still a sliver.
Right.
it's a perfect segue to our next segment, Ant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and before we get into our next segment, I want to remind everybody that we are doing a TV show tomorrow, and it's our first TV show where we're reacting to a Browns game since they played tonight. So it's 100% never before seen content on TV, as Mike likes to sell it. And we're going to be on WKYC from 12:30 to 1. If you're out of market, you can watch us on the WKYC Plus app. So please follow us over there and support us. We appreciate it.
All right, I got a couple of beefs here. Number one, we got to stop saying we're on TV tomorrow. We're on TV every day. Okay?
Fact.
Tomorrow, we're on linear TV. But we are always on TV. This is not radio. This is not a podcast. It's a television show. Number two, the rest of us, besides Mike, have to stop saying never before seen content.
It's my thing.
It's your thing. When everybody else does it, it's cheesy.
Thank you.
So no offense to Anthony and Jay. The rest of you have to shut the hell up. All right?
Bad job out of me.
So there you go. All right. Joe Flacco. Is this a Joe Flacco revenge game? Robert Saleh, who I think is way overrated as a head coach.
Because he's the
Everybody else loves
defensive
him.
guy.
Everybody loves him.
Because he's a defensive guy. He can't possibly be a good
I'm
head
not
coach.
a fan. Hey, there's not a lot of good coaches that are defensive guys.
That Bill Belichick, he's an idiot.
He's washed up.
He's an idiot.
And Bill Belichick's unique because he was involved with both sides of the ball. Let's be honest. He's not just a defensive guy. The guy's a football savant. Now, he can't pick players anymore. He gets it wrong every time now.
Yeah, he
You
should
don't know
not
what
be a
the hell
GM.
No,
I still think
not at all.
I think he's a brilliant mind, but he's not a GM.
Who's the other good defensive coaches? Sirianni? Is he a defensive guy?
Yeah, he was.
Was
I think.
Tomlin a defensive guy?
He was special teams guy.
Tomlin was. Harbaugh special
Harbaugh
teams.
special
Or was he
teams.
defense? Tomlin might have been
Tomlin's
I think
defense.
Tomlin's
Yeah.
defense.
And when's the last time he won a playoff game? What was that?
Long time ago.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Mike Tomlin's a terrible coach, too.
I didn't say he was terrible. I said he's become Marvin Lewis now. He's Marvin Lewis.
He was also a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley was a defensive guy. That turned out bad.
We don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm
That's
just, I'm just naming defensive guys now.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon of the Cardinals.
Oh, he's doing a hell of a job.
Well, geez, what's he got to work with?
Matt Eberflus of the Bears.
Jeez.
He sucks.
I'm making your point, Bull. I'm
Yeah,
trying to help
exactly.
you out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Todd Bowles doing a serviceable job, right? We love him.
A lot of
Not
people
really.
have done a great job with the Chicago, right? With the Bears. That's a
Yeah, it's
well-run
true.
franchise. That's a model franchise. They just hired some
D'Amico
idiot
Ryan.
defensive guy.
D'Amico
D'Amico
Ryan's defensive guy doing a
Yeah.
nice job.
Yeah,
There you
he's
go.
an idiot too, right?
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, he purposely got Stroud concussed, so yeah, like that's
He's young though.
I don't think offense defense makes you a good or bad head coach. I don't think it matters
No.
which side.
By
of
the
ball you
way,
come from.
the stupidest thing that we do as media, that fans do, and that NFL teams do also, is that we pick head coaches often based on how they do as coordinators.
I agree.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
I don't disagree with that.
a lot of
It's
it's
crazy.
talent which you have to work with as opposed to
Well, and just because you're a good play caller doesn't mean you're a good
Exactly.
general.
executive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they screw ups all the time.
But it's also like, what else are you supposed to do? You're supposed to find a linebackers coach to become,
Well, why not?
because that's an enormous jump in responsibility where you go from 6 guys to 53 guys. So
But-
it's I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I agree with you. But I mean, I guess that's why I think maybe special teams guys. But other than that, like, it's hard. There's no great. I mean, they tried it with Freddie, and that was a disaster. Freddie was a positional coach
what
his whole
I'm
career,
saying is-
and he wasn't ready for that.
What I'm saying is, it's not. We shouldn't pick it based on which offense had the most success. We should interview coaches, and if you're a smart owner that's good at hiring people, that guy's a leader of men.
Yes.
That guy's a leader of men. I don't care that his team didn't score as many points as that guy's team.
That's fair.
But imagine taking somebody off a 3-14 team and running them out there on the podium and saying, "This is our guy."
Well, if you're worried about the fan reaction, you're a bad hirer.
But it's also the locker room. The locker room's going to look at you like, "What are you doing?"
Well, I guess
And eventually you can win them over.
yes.
Because, I mean, to the Browns' credit, nobody's looking at Kevin Stefanski. I wrote that at his introductory press conference. I'm
Right.
like, well, here are the Browns outsmarting themselves again
Yeah.
because nobody else is looking at this guy.
Right.
But and they were right.
They were right.
Nailed it.
Now they were
nailed
wrong
it.
every time before that,
But-
but this time they got it right.
And
Recency bias.
say what you want about DePodesta. This was his.
That's right.
This was his guy.
And this is the first time, and I said it at the time, you probably did too. This is the first time since Haslam's been owner that the DePodesta, the GM, and the head coach are all cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, they all speak the
And-
same
and
language.
now it's working.
They speak the same dialect. They're all pulling on the rope the same way. I have heard countless stories over the years of GMs throwing this guy out of the building or out of the
Right.
room, and you're
Yeah.
not allowed in our meeting. That is no way to run. You can't run a healthy franchise that way.
No.
You can't have success that way when the GM doesn't trust this guy and when that guy doesn't believe in that guy. And it's Game of Thrones.
Right.
And everybody's trying to cut each other's head off.
That
You
happened
would
with the
never get
Dorsey
success.
regime. That
Yes.
happened with Ray Farmer's
Yes.
regime.
It happened with all of them.
Yeah.
You had.
Sashi was here.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into specific names
but
now, but it's every regime prior to this one. It was some sort, and Jimmy was a big part of it because Jimmy would go to this guy and say, "What do you think of that guy?"
Yeah, right.
So whether it was intentional or not, he was almost the one pitting them against each other. So, and that for now is gone. And
Right.
it is, and that I absolutely believe that has a lot to do with why they're successful.
Agreed.
Is because a lot of that seems to have been flushed out.
And we'll get to Joe Flacco, which is where we started. And if Stefanski and Berry get extensions this offseason, because I think you should give them both extensions.
I agree.
I agree.
Now you're talking about long-term stability.
Yep.
And then you really get rolling.
Yes.
Best organizations have
Yeah.
that part locked down.
Yeah.
We've
Absolutely.
already seen it where, I mean, Kwesi left this front office to become a GM in Minnesota. When's the last
Right.
time the Browns ever had one of their executives plucked
Never.
to be a GM elsewhere? Drew
Yeah.
Petzing, former quarterbacks coach, leaves to go become the OC in Arizona under Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah.
When is the last time Brown staffers who aren't fired leave a position for a promotion with another
Right.
team?
Yeah.
This is very rare things
And
that we've already seen.
The only one I thought of was Shanahan, and he forced his way
He
out of here.
forced his way out of here. Oh, I've heard the stories on that one.
Yeah. All right, now, we started this conversation getting into Joe Flacco and whether this is any kind of revenge game. The Jets head coach said, Robert Saleh said, we don't regret our decisions in the quarterback room. And to be fair, it wasn't like Joe Flacco really played that well last year for the Jets.
Correct.
He did a good job in the game against the Browns, and then the next week against the Bengals, he was awful. And then he played the last game of the year, and he didn't really do much. So I wouldn't kill Robert Saleh. Now, had they signed Flacco and he had the same magic there, maybe they would have been better. But maybe it would have been too long of a season for him, and he wouldn't have done well. We'll never know. I'm not going to kill Saleh for those comments. Do you think there's a part of Joe Flacco that wants to stick it to the Jets or no?
100%, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. Yeah.
He never wanted to retire. He got thrown out. Nobody
Yeah.
called him. And I'm sure when Rodgers went down, he was expecting a phone call. And the Jets were in a weird spot because of the Zach Wilson thing. And here's this guy that they invested a lot of draft capital in. It was another opportunity for them to get a look at this guy. So I kind of understand it. But you have to have regrets if you're the Jets. If you're seeing the way Joe's playing now there's no guarantee he's going to play that way. I think Kevin's system and play calling has a lot to do with why he's having the success. But you can't help, you're human, to look at this and go, man, I wonder if we missed on this. But there is the fact that he didn't play well. And that's the point I think Tyvis and I were trying to make yesterday. He hadn't played well in 10 years. This has come out of absolute nowhere.
Yeah.
And like I said, you had this young quarterback that you thought was going to be your guy. He was a disaster. The Rodgers injury gave you another opportunity to go back to him. He was a disaster again. Now it's over.
But they
you
could've-
needed to learn that. You needed to learn that if you're New York.
Agreed, but they could have had Flacco as their other quarterback instead of Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
And that's when you bring him back as your and I assume he would have taken it.
Right, it's to be the
else was
backup for
calling
Zach
him.
Wilson because he wasn't going to be a starter
Right.
here when the Browns first signed him.
Nobody else was calling him.
Right.
But the Jets needed to get when Rodgers went down, the Jets had an opportunity to get a definitive answer on Zach Wilson.
Agreed.
If Wilson came in and balls out, you move on from Rodgers at the end of the year because you've got this guy and he's young.
Agreed.
But now you know definitively Zach Wilson cannot come back to New York.
Yeah.
You're probably going back to Rodgers if he's healthy next year.
Yep.
And you at least got your answers from the Jets' perspective. They at least have
That's
clarity
true.
on that.
And to Jason's point, like we could talk about, we do bulletin board material. Do players care?
Yeah.
Revenge game. Do players care? It's human nature. Like these guys are athletes, but they're also humans. And anytime you have a chance to get back at your former employer, your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, like there is always that little extra underlying motivation to go out and prove them wrong. Now, does that mean I think
100%.
Joe Flacco is going to try to throw every pass 70 yards downfield and thread the needle to be like, hey, look, I could have done this for you? Like, no. But to think that there's not some extra little satisfaction in a good play, I think is just missing the whole point of human nature and the competitive nature of these guys. And that's what makes Joe Flacco so good and what makes some quarterbacks not so good in these situations. I have the utmost confidence that Joe Flacco is going to go out and play Joe Flacco's game and then feel better about it afterwards, as opposed to going out there, and maybe a younger guy would do this, or a quarterback in a different situation, to go out and prove their point. I think Flacco's going to let the game come to him and let his point be proven by his play
he
on
plays
the field.
balls to the wall the whole time anyway.
But there is another level the gunslinger Flacco could get to, and I don't expect to see that tonight. I just think he's going to go out there, play his game, And when the final whistle blows and you look at the box score and you see whatever numbers Flacco puts up versus whatever the Jets quarterbacks have, Joe will be like, yeah, I did that. And one stat before you go, in 4 games, Flacco has more the same amount of touchdown passes as the entire Jets quarterback room this season. It's 10-10.
That
which is
bonkers.
crazy.
So,
the young player you're talking about is Elijah Moore. He's the
Yes.
one that is going
Yeah.
to be extremely motivated tonight to really ball out, I think. Flacco's been around a long time. He's a veteran. He's not going to get – I mean, it's the Jets. It's the Ravens, I think, mean far more to him probably personally.
Sure.
Than, he was in New York for a couple of years, but I think Baltimore is the one that really holds a special place in his heart, more so than New York. So I think you're right. He's a veteran. He wants to stick it to him, no question about it. But he's not going to let emotion overcome him. Elijah Moore is the one I think that really wants to punish New York tonight.
Yeah.
And, hey, if Amari doesn't play, he's going to have his opportunity.
and we saw against the Rams real quick, Bull, but he had 12 or 14 targets against the Rams, and since then he's kind of fallen off in terms of the his spot on the leaderboard in terms of Browns targets. He's actually been surpassed by Cedric Tillman in the last 3 games. I would think that, to Jason's point, he's got a little extra gunning and make sure he's running his routes as crisp as humanly possible.
It didn't go well for him in New York.
Yeah.
It didn't end
It was
well.
a sour split in New York.
Well, so far it hasn't gone well for
It
him
hasn't
here
gone
either.
well for him
No.
here. But if he can keep his emotions in check, tonight's a night to leverage that, where you can really, if
That's true.
you're Kevin in the offense, you can
Have a
use
big
that to your
game.
advantage.
And to be fair to Elijah Moore, there it went bad on the field and off the field. Where he hasn't been a problem off
No,
the field.
he
There's
hasn't.
been no complaining about his role,
No.
at least publicly.
No one wanted to hear it at the time, but I mentioned it at the time. The thing that really kind of turned people off to him in New York was, I forget who it was now. They had a huge win last year.
Yeah, right.
He was coming off their big win, and he has to be traded, coming off their best win
there's
of the
been none
season.
of that here.
No, but they kind of looked at him like, well, we just had our best win, and now you want out. Like, are you really a team guy or not? He has not been a problem here at all in terms of that. We also just haven't seen the production that I think a lot of people thought you were going to get for, the equivalent of a second-round pick.
Nowhere close
So
to what you expect.
Now's your chance, especially if Amari's out tonight, which we all think he's going to play. But if he's not out there, it's Elijah's. He's got the relationship with Flacco. He's got the history with him. He's got the motivation against his former team. This could be his moment.
Can I ask a question? And I don't know. I wish Tyvus was here. I should have asked him yesterday. Does Elijah Moore and Flacco, knowing, being in the Jets locker room the last couple of years, how much insight do they actually have into the Jets defense, knowing Saleh, knowing what kind of schematically he likes to do and call in certain situations, and how much of a benefit
Got to be
is
something
that?
to that, I would
Oh,
think.
for sure.
Especially for Flacco. Elijah Moore, who knows?
I actually think it's more of an advantage for the Jets, knowing Flacco's weaknesses and knowing how to scheme him and come at him and blitz him and everything else. I actually think it's more of an advantage for the Jets going against Joe. But Joe has insight and knowledge that he could share with Kevin on their tendencies, especially defensively. 3rd and 6 from this part of the field. They like this sort of coverage. That absolutely can be a part of it. I just think it's a little bit more even advantage for the Jets.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bull?
I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think of it as kind of even. I think it's an equal advantage for a veteran like Joe Flacco, who's been around so long, who knows what teams, he's going to figure out a defense quicker than most quarterbacks. So, yes, they know his weaknesses, but I think he knows their weaknesses, or he knows Saleh's tendencies in that situation too. So I think it's more of an even playing field.
The thing, I'll take this back. I don't know if it's a great comeback around or not, but last week, Houston, first play of the game, deep shot down the field. That tells me Kevin saw something on film that knew Houston was vulnerable, and they were going to attack early in the game.
Yeah.
And it hit. First play of the game.
53
Boom.
yards.
Deep down the
Time.
field.
Yeah.
And that's where Joe can be very helpful, I think, with Kevin in certain situations that you almost know to be true. Typically, unless there's a turnover or something weird, you're going to get the ball. First time you get the ball, it's going to be between, your 20 to 30, somewhere in there. They like to come out in this sort of set, this sort of coverage. This is going to be available to us.
Right.
Kevin's already really good going on script. We know that. I think tonight even more, especially given Flacco's knowledge of the Jets and how they like to play, that could be even more helpful. So, I'm sort of talking myself in as we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself into an early Browns score in this game because.
Well, I think they've scored in the first drive. They did against L.A., that Jerome Ford bootleg wide open.
Yeah.
They did against Jacksonville. They did not.
They did against Chicago.
They did against.
Right?
They scored an open.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah, because I was the only.
Yeah.
No.
I don't remember.
Did they against Chicago?
I don't remember.
Or was it the second drive, maybe? I don't
And
know.
they did against Houston.
You know they're going to lose the toss. They always lose.
They lose the toss, and
They've been taking the ball when they win it. They've taken it a couple
true.
of times,
Yeah.
but wind and weather has lots
I'd
to do
put the
with it.
defense out there if I win it tonight.
I would too.
In this game,
Yeah, I would too.
I would put it. But I think one other thing about the matchup with the Jets that's interesting. Since Flacco's been quarterback, I'm not sure about the Rams game, and they lost that game anyway. But certainly the last 3 weeks, the team they've played has been a much better run defensive team than pass defense.
This is the one it switches.
And this is the first game they've played where it's the opposite. The Browns' strength as an offense right now is throwing the ball, especially if Amari Cooper's able to go. So what I'm curious is, and it's not like they've totally given up on the run in terms of attempts. Last week they had a lot of attempts. Now part of that was because they were up big and they ran it more late.
Well, I told you the last 3 games, they're 17th in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that's. I think it's probably a little out of whack because they ran a lot late.
They're probably 20.
But I wonder if they'll make even. Will they say, "Hey, our strength is passing the ball. I don't care that the Jets are good at pass defense. We're sticking with our strength." Or do they say, "We've got to make even more of an effort to run the ball this week because that's the Jets' weakness"?
Kevin throws to set up the run. He's proven that time and time, and
I
it
agree.
drives people here crazy. But that's what he does. He throws to set up the run. He doesn't run to set up the pass. So I expect him to come out throwing tonight, just like they always do.
I agree. And I think you play to your strengths.
Yeah.
I don't think you play to the opponent's weakness. I think you do what you're best at, and right now what they're best at is throwing the ball.
Yeah.
100% agree. It goes in all sports.
Yeah.
Make them adjust to you, not vice versa.
Right.
And when you start adjusting to try and
Right.
exploit a weakness on the other opponent, in the opponent's armor, for lack of a better word,
Right.
and you're not good at it,
Right. If you're really good at
you're
both,
stepping down. Yeah, if you're good at both, but
then fine.
If you're trying to make your run game the feature point of this offense when you can't run the ball,
yeah,
you're only doing yourself a disservice.
I think you're right.
I'm with
think
you.
you're right. All right, Anthony, what do you got for us?
Yeah, before we move on to our next topic, guys, I want to remind everybody that it's going to be a late night tonight, but we still have a post-game show.
Yes, we do.
Me and Mikey react into the last 2 minutes, and then hopefully Earl and maybe G will be on tonight, and to be determined on the
he's
cast
out.
of
I
the
think
post
he's
game.
already-
G is out. It's just me and Earl tonight.
All right,
He's out
it's
for
just
the
going to
rest
be
of the
Mike and
week?
Earl tonight.
Yeah, he's not here tomorrow either, so.
He's fighting it, man. Gee, feel better, buddy. Rest
Yeah, we're
up.
wishing G all the best.
He's
as
going
he,
through a lot right now. I haven't heard.
figures it
I
all
haven't.
out.
Did he see the specialist? Have you spoken to him or texted with him?
I just know Tyvus is
He's
coming.
not great on text.
Tyvus is coming in tomorrow, so.
All right, I'm going to text him after the show. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, well, just a reminder, we start at the 2-minute warning tonight, so we'll be there even though it's a late game. Don't worry about it, and we'll be here tomorrow morning as well. Then as we get into the next of it, also expected today, Watson's returning to the sideline.
That's right. Before we get into that, Aditi Kinkhabwala is going to join us in about 10 minutes. We'll talk with her, and we're going to do our weekly draft here of the 10 best players for this week. Also, I'll be doing my podcast late tonight, so as soon as you're done watching the live UCSS postgame, my podcast will be out there, so there'll be more late-night watching and listening tonight as well. All right, so Deshaun Watson expected to be back on the sidelines, guys. A couple of weeks ago, we said, okay, no big deal that he's not. It can't. About a month ago, it became a story
It was the Rams
that
game.
Watson was not on the sideline because in the same week, Joe Burrow, who had gotten hurt, was on the Bengals, and Joe Burrow's been on the Bengals sideline every week since. Deshaun Watson has not been. Watson was in a luxury box with his girlfriend or whatever.
And the other injured Browns players, which is
And the other
key.
injured Brown players.
Yes.
Some of the defense of Watson was, well, he could get hurt on the sidelines, and now that's all out the window apparently because he's going to be on the sidelines today. Does it matter? Do we make anything of it? Are anybody now saying it's a good idea that he's there? Are they hypocrites because they defended him for not being there? Nothing, something. What do you got, Jason?
I wasn't in. I think I was gone. I wasn't in the day you guys were talking
Yeah.
about it. I would have liked to have seen him in the building more. I didn't care so much about the sideline. I didn't think it was a great look, but whatever. But I wanted him in the building. He didn't need to be in LA rehab, and he needed to be in Cleveland around his team. Like, we have world-class medical facilities right here.
Yes, we do.
And I'm glad he's back. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. But I thought he could have been incredibly helpful when it was DTR. DTR needed a veteran, and I think at the time I said that I'm glad Flacco's here. When he first had the surgery, obviously he had it in LA or whatever, fine. But, after a couple of days, you're okay. It's it's a shoulder. You're okay to come back to Cleveland. Yeah. With Flacco, Deshaun can still be helpful to Joe for sure. There's nothing wrong with another set of eyes, no matter how long you've been doing something. Mm-hmm. It's great to have somebody else, another viewpoint, whatever. I just thought it was more helpful with Dorian as the quarterback. Yeah. Than it is with Joe. It's great that he's back. He should be here. If you're the leader of the team, if you're the franchise guy, you need to be in that building every day. You need to be in that building. You need to show up. You need to for them to see that you're there, that you're bought in, that you're committed. Yeah. So I think it's great that he's back.
I didn't make a big deal that he wasn't on the sideline in L.A. Like, I had no issue with him not being there. I'm not going to go crazy that he is here now. So I didn't think it was a big deal he wasn't. I don't think it's a big deal he was. But I do think it's a cool moment. And I do think it helps the team. This is a chance for them to do something, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. They haven't done it in 21 years. Clinch a playoff berth at home. For Deshaun to be in the stadium, on the sideline with his guys, for a chance to do this in front of what should be, as we talked about yesterday, the most electric crowd maybe the city's seen since they returned to Cleveland in '99. For a chance to build the foundation of what we hope is a multi-year championship window. For him to be there. I think it's cool. Yeah. But I didn't kill him when he wasn't there. I don't think it's a giant deal he's here. But as Jason said, an extra set of eyes always helps. Deshaun's a smart football guy. I mean, he's been called a football savant before. He understands how to read defenses. If Flacco does have a question, it's another guy he can go to, and he's not asking P.J. Walker.
I mean, Flacco's not going to have a question for Deshaun
But I'm just saying, but if it comes up, like, he's not asking P.J. Walker.
I agree it's not bad. I didn't make a big thing of it at the time. I did think it.
The optics of it weren't
the
great.
optics of Joe Burrow being on the sideline and him being in the press box when Burrow's got a good reputation and he's got a bad reputation, wasn't good. That's it. Now, does that matter? I don't know. What do his teammates feel about it? If they're being honest, I don't know.
I think it's more important for him to be there during the week.
Why was he in L.A. at all?
He got the surgery in L.A.
He had the surgery.
Why?
Well, and there are specialists. There are different specialists that you go to. That's not uncommon for players to go to a certain doctor when they have a procedure. There are certain guys. There are some more famous than others.
Sure, that are
the
Dr.
Tommy
Neil
John guy.
Yes. Well, he's the new guy, but
but like the guy in Alabama.
Yeah, I know. I know you're talking. I can't think of his name.
There are certain guys. If you have a shoulder, you go here. If it's a knee, you go here. If it's a finger, you go here.
Right.
So that's fine to go to LA to have the. And I mean, listen, the Deshaun and the Browns medical haven't exactly been
okay. But once the surgery's over.
Yes.
You can rehab here.
You can I think it was more important for him to be in the building during the week than on the sideline during the game.
Yeah.
But again, with Dorian as the quarterback, it's helpful to have him on the sideline.
Right.
These guys have iPads. If you watch Kevin, as soon as the drive's over, they're handing him a tablet.
Right.
And he's watching the plays in real time right after. So it would be very helpful to have, when you have a young quarterback, it's very helpful to have a veteran to be able to look at this stuff and go over this stuff with you. All right, did you see the safety do this? Did you see the backer over here?
Right.
With Joe, it's not as big of a deal. It's just, if you're a leader, then lead. And it was sort of my thing with Miles in OTAs. If you're going to be a leader, if you're going to call yourself a leader, then lead. And you don't get to take time off from that. If you're a leader, then you need to lead. So I like the fact that he's back in the building. I think it's great. Not as big of a deal on the sideline with Joe as it was with Dorian, but just being in the building every day, just show up every day, be in the building every day. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, he's the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
The quarterback is the face of the franchise, and I think with the monumental, with how big this moment could be tonight, it'd feel weird to do it without Deshaun there.
I think tonight is cool. It's important for him to see tonight. This is what it can be like in this city.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've seen it yet. And they've had good crowds this year, and they've been loud, and they've been into the games and whatever else. But when you're talking about clinching a playoff spot in front of fans, it hasn't been done in 20 years. Tonight is an opportunity to show Deshaun, who doesn't have a lot of history with Cleveland, who immediately ruled the city out because the one time he was here, the weather was awful. He didn't want to, remember, Browns were the first team off his list. Tonight is an opportunity for him to see this is what Cleveland Browns fans can be like. This is when it's rolling. This is what it feels like. This is what it looks like.
And it can leave a lasting impression too.
And you say home, but period, home or road. The Browns only have gone to the playoffs since 2002 and 2020 when there was COVID. So there were no fans, period.
Correct.
So it's been 21 years since the Browns have gone to the playoffs where there were people able to go to the games.
And that's what I'm saying. For him to see that what the crowd can be like at home, I think is important because he doesn't have a ton of experience with Browns with Browns fans. He's been here for a couple of years, but he hasn't played that much. He hasn't been here that much. Tonight could be a really important opportunity for him to see this is what it can be like.
And he's done it in Houston. And I lived in Texas, right outside of Houston, for a couple of years, and I can tell you with the utmost certainty, maybe better than anyone in this city because I've lived in both.
Yep.
The buy-in of Browns fans compared to the buy-in of Texans fans is night and day. It doesn't even remotely compare. In Texas and Houston, there's so many other interests. College football is bigger than the NFL in Houston. Here,
Not Dallas, though, right?
no, the Cowboys are one, but that's 4 hours away. He wasn't in Dallas. He was in Houston.
Yeah. High school football.
There's just so many other things that.
Well, but high school football is huge here.
But it's Browns.
Yes.
Browns.
Yeah,
We're
Browns
doing
are
Mike's 100%. Right.
Yeah.
So to see tonight with what it all could be.
Yeah.
And then it's not just for like Deshaun, but even Miles to an extent. Like guys on the Browns who have been here for a while, they haven't seen what tonight could be. Could because they have to win. I keep saying could because they still have to win.
Right.
But everyone, fans, media, players, Deshaun, the leaders of this team, have a chance to experience something that they haven't done before. And I don't say any doubt they've ever had about Cleveland, but any wonder of, is this a mecca of football? They're going to get it tonight.
Yeah,
they're going to get to see it tonight.
There's nobody on the team that's ever played with Browns fans going bananas as the team had a chance to clinch. Because if they do tonight, after the game's going to be crazy. The fans are going to be going absolutely bananas. Are fans running on the field? Does that still happen?
No, not in the NFL.
No.
College,
It's
yes.
a college thing, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be bonkers tonight. All weekend will be bonkers. New Year's Eve on Sunday, when everyone has off on Monday, is going to be banana. Like,
yeah, Bull, don't be encouraging people to go on the field.
Don't.
You will be tased and maced if you go on the field.
Don't go on the field.
Or worse, do not go on the field tonight.
Yeah.
Celebrate in the parking lot.
Yeah.
it's going to be crazy. I can't wait.
But, like, just to walk back to the cars for all the fans
I
is gonna
mentioned
be,
it when the Baker Thursday night Jets game. I
Yeah.
mentioned this yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah.
Zach Jackson and I, for
Right.
whatever reason, that night, we didn't take the elevator down. We took the ramp down. So we got to hear everything.
Yeah.
And fans were celebrating that game like it was a playoff win.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine what tonight would be like. They'll be going crazy.
After the game, it's just going to be crazy.
Bonkers.
It's going to be nuts. Downtown Cleveland's going to be nuts at midnight tonight. I mean,
Later. It's going to be going until they
That's
kick
true.
you out. It will be the bars on West 6 and the flats and everything downtown will be packed till 2
Is
a.m.
everything open until?
If they're smart.
If they're smart, they'll stay open until 5 a.m. if they're smart.
Are you allowed to?
No, liquor license.
What a
Well-
stupid rule.
Yeah, I think it's 2 a.m. Also, real quick before
Dumb
we get
rule.
Aditi in here, guys, how cool would it be if Chubb and Watson were the one who broke the guitars? Because they're keeping it
I think it's
super
gonna be
under
Chubb.
wraps. What if it's both of them
Yeah,
tonight?
I was thinking it could be Watson.
I think it'll be Chubb.
Fans would be much more excited about Chubb than Watson.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, I think Chubb.
Who else could it be?
DeQuell. LeBron.
Well, the way that
We'd
they're
love to
trying to
quell
build this up is some huge thing that's going to bring the house down.
Could it be Bernie?
I'm kind of Bernie's
Bernie,
not.
he already did it.
Yeah,
We did.
right. Did he?
Tito, Francona,
No,
fly LeBron in.
No.
He has a game tonight, but will LeBron skip a
It's the
Laker?
preseason.
Will LeBron's
it's just some
It's the preseason.
NBA. It's the preseason.
It is,
well, he calls
right?
the whole regular season the preseason.
Does any of these games matter?
It's December 28th.
Does the games matter?
Yes, it's
Why?
December 28th.
But why does it matter?
Because you're building good habits to take you to the
Nah,
playoffs.
bullshit.
You are.
What kind of build? What the Cavs won 1,000 games last year. What kind of good habits they
51.
built?
51. Ask anyone; they'll tell you.
It's
Go ahead,
Chubb. I
Anthony.
think it's Chubb.
All right, guys, as we get Aditi in here, I just want to remind everybody that as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot over on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Is Aditi with us?
She is.
There she is.
What's up, Aditi?
That was a long read, Adam. You weren't letting him get through it? He, barely finished reading
Yeah.
the FanDuel.
Adam's very impatient.
You ready to get
What are you
going?
talking about?
Bull's the one who told
What,
me to
are we
read
supposed
it
have dead
slower.
air for 5 seconds?
Is that what it was?
I mean, I don't know what you're
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just excited about tonight. Are you?
Am I excited about tonight? We're batshit crazy right now. It's amazing. I can't wait for this freaking game.
I can't believe
tonight.
it's still 8 hours till kickoff. Like,
it can't
Did
come
you guys, did you watch the? Did you already talk about? And I'm sorry if you did. Did you already talk about Amari Cooper sliming Joe Flacco?
not yet.
No.
Oh, no, we
Forgot
did.
about
Is
that.
that
was a great
I was
moment,
like,
though.
if you had told me this would happen, you have
Well-
to see it. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, we've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
it. There's about 100 things that have happened to the Browns this year, including, yes, Amari Cooper sliming Joe Flacco. There's about 100 things that have happened this year that I could say, if you would have told me this would happen this year.
When I was at the Greenbrier, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
right?
this is.
Joe Flacco and Dustin Hopkins being the two most important players on the team. Didn't
Yeah.
see that coming.
I mean,
Oh my goodness.
Aditi, we were asking. Here it is. Let's watch this now. Oh, we can't hear it? Just see it.
I mean, but look at that. It's not, I mean, Joe sounds a little goobery when he's talking, so you don't necessarily need the audio.
Yeah.
I can give you the play-by-play. It's
so
just the
gross.
idea of like quiet, serious Amari Cooper pouring slime on Joe Flacco.
Ugh.
And Flacco right here makes a joke about how it feels like hair gel,
Yeah.
which could take it in a whole other direction.
All I can think about while watching this is how gross that is, and I wouldn't want it done to me. You know?
Yeah, what is the slime?
I wonder how it washes out. Like, does it? Does it destroy your
must. I don't think he would have
clothes,
done
or
it
is
if it didn't.
like-
Yeah, no, it'll just wash.
If
And
Joe,
by the way, if
Joe
Amari
wasn't with
Cooper's
green
able
hair
to
today-
dump the slime on his head, he's got to play, right, Aditi? He's playing tonight, even though he's got a
for
heel
sure.
injury.
100%. He's not looking that happy if he's not playing.
No, exactly.
Not
Just
that
moving
that's
around
a
the
really
locker room.
scientific or informed decision. That's just my gut right there.
No,
Or
we're
my-
all with you. We think he's playing. He was
Yeah.
moving fine around the locker room yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean he's ready to play an NFL game because he was walking around the locker room.
He's going to play.
But
I don't think
I
we're
tend to think he's going to play.
But Aditi,
I mean,
let me
look,
ask
I
you-
was on the sideline for the Jets game last weekend. I will say that they play good defense. They do play good defense. So
I mean, they
there's
still
that.
gave up 28 points to one of the worst teams in football.
Well, and it took a long time. I mean, Sam Howell couldn't get anything going in the first half, couldn't get anything when he started the second half. It wasn't until your old friend Jacoby Brissett comes in that all of a sudden things start happening. But remember, when you have a huge lead, I mean, the Jets had a 20-point lead, and so you're playing a different defense when you're up that much, right? I mean, there was a little bit more of prevent going on, but then
I hear you, but eventually, like the Browns did that against the Texans, and the Texans started coming back a little, and then the Browns went back to playing serious defense, and it was over. The Jets could have done the same thing, and it didn't happen.
Yes, all fair points. I
Yeah.
just feel like the Browns have a lot of mojo right now. The Browns
Yes.
are playing for things that really, really matter. This is what we talked about a month ago, where it was sort of like, yes, all these horrible, awful things have happened, but there are still these reasons that the playoffs are still in sight. And at some point, you have to stop making excuses. And so, whatever, that's
There
what
it
this
is.
team has proven to be true.
Aditi, is Joe Flacco right now the most important player on the Browns?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough question. Yes. Can I say yes?
I agree.
Although
Well,
I read
this-
She officially breaks the tie, by the
It
way.
makes
This
me
is-
a little sad.
It's been a blood war all week between Flacco and Miles. And Tyvis said it's Miles. I said Miles until Dorian went down because I have no faith in PJ
You
Walker.
can't win a Super Bowl
whatsoever.
with P.J. Walker. The Browns right now, the way Flacco's playing, can win a Super Bowl. I
Wait,
believe
are we
that.
talking about like big picture or today? Like today
No, big
against
picture.
this Jets offense, Joe Flacco is more important than Miles Garrett.
No, I'm
Big
talking the
picture
rest of the season.
From now through the end of the postseason.
Rest of the season.
You're the tiebreaker,
Yeah, I think
Aditi,
it's
by
more
the
about
way.
Flacco right now.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
agree.
are going to need some offense at some point. And Miles Garrett alone cannot throw this team or sack this team to victory, but Joe Flacco can. This is where, we have this whole conversation or argument about quarterbacks that are game managers and quarterbacks that can actually put a team on its shoulders. And we've seen Joe Flacco do that, right? We've seen Joe Flacco do that. Granted, it was 14 years ago, but the way that he's thrown the ball the last 3 weeks, the last 4 weeks, Joe Flacco right now is more important to this team and its aspirations at this point in the season moving forward.
We talked about this earlier, Aditi, but the Joe Flacco, Elijah Moore revenge game factor on the Jets. We all agreed that Flacco is a wily vet. He's not going to let too much go into that. But Elijah Moore, and you've been on the Elijah Moore train all season, is this finally the game that Elijah Moore has his monster breakout? This is why you traded a second-round pick for me performance.
Sure, why not? I've been saying the same thing every week. Like every week, you're like, "Is this the week? Why should I change now? Why
You're
not?"
running out of time.
I
We got
respect
2
the
left.
consistency.
But you know what the piece about it that Joe Flacco is never going to force something at the expense of winning. But Joe Flacco is, when you say wily veteran, he is aware of this sort of thing. I mean, he was aware that Amari Cooper was within sight of hitting this number that hadn't been hit. And so if it's possible within the parameters of what the Browns want to do and win, then yes, he's going to feed the ball that way. And I do feel that Joe Flacco has a lot of genuine appreciation for who Elijah Moore is. I think Elijah Moore has worked in every way, and a lot of it has to do with, sorry about that, how it all shakes out. I can definitely see Elijah Moore having a big game.
Yeah.
But of course, I've been saying that for 16 weeks now? Plus the preseason.
Why
change now?
This is my Mike Miller hill that you're dying on. When Mike Miller played on the Cavs, I was adamant Mike Miller's going to win the Cavs a playoff game. And he never did crap for the Cavs.
Okay, but I have more faith in Elijah Moore. At some point, Elijah Moore is going to make a truth teller out of me. That's what I think.
Could be tonight.
At some point.
I didn't realize you had the Jets last
Why not
week.
tonight?
I didn't realize I didn't realize you had the Jets game last week. So tell us something we didn't know about the Jets, or tell us something we should be watching for tonight with New York in town.
I do think that the defense is impressive. I can't say much about the offense. Breece Hall had a very nice game in the game that we did. He had 95 rush yards, 96 receiving yards. But there wasn't, Garrett Wilson is a really nice young player, and I had such a great time talking to him. As an Ohio State guy, I'm sure you're all very familiar with him. He's a young player who's obviously had a frustrating season, not because of what he's done or how he works, but because of the quarterback situation. But he's very mature. He's very heady. He makes the most of the opportunities that he has. The Jets did get the run game going better last week, which has sort of been a problem. So, obviously, as the Browns tell you every week, they have to stop the run first. But nothing you're seeing out of the quarterback position is really impressive. Get something going against that defense. And remember that you're playing for something, and you're playing for something very, very significant. And the other guys are playing for pride, maybe, kind of, which gets some people far and others doesn't. So, it's a mismatch. And if the Browns are who we think the Browns are, they should go out there and make that statement, show the kind of team they are, and keep their foot on the gas pedal. That's it.
I agree.
Real quick, I just thought of this. Robert Saleh came out and said they don't have any regrets, I guess, of how they handled the Flacco situation. Do you think internally New York feels like they missed on this by not bringing him back? We were talking about it earlier. Joe didn't play particularly well last year outside the Browns game, and I thought they needed to make a decision on Zach Wilson once Rodgers went down, so I kind of understood, but they still could have brought Flacco back as the backup to Zach because nobody else was calling him. Do you think that they whiffed on this, or do you think that they're okay with how this played out for them?
I think, first of all, what else is Saleh going to say publicly,
exactly,
right? What else is he going to say other than there's no point in looking back and that there are no regrets? I think you make a really good point about Flacco not necessarily having this monstrous year a year ago, and I think that they probably thought we don't need to bring an almost 40-year-old guy to be a mentor in the room because that's what Aaron Rodgers is. And their initial goal, their initial plan was that Zach Wilson, they weren't ready to give up on Zach Wilson. This idea was that Zach Wilson was going to learn under Aaron Rodgers. He was going to be mentored. He was going to get better. But then all of a sudden, Zach Wilson gets thrown in there before he's really fully ready. And I don't know. I think the way that what Hackett is doing, I don't know that Flacco was as obvious of a fit anyway. And it's way too easy right now to say, oh, we should have done this. It's the same way Washington is saying, well, you know what? We needed to see who Sam Howell was. We had to give Sam Howell every chance. But when Sam Howell started really slumping and pressing too much a few weeks ago, we should have gone to Jacoby Brissett. What you've seen the last 2 weeks makes that easy to say. But that's not, that's hindsight. That's the magic of hindsight. So in that moment, I'm willing to buy what Saleh said, that they really didn't consider it and they don't regret it and they made the best decision at that moment. But I'll also say something that I feel about Joe Flacco. And I think you wrote this to some degree, Jason, when you're telling everyone just enjoy the ride because this is all that it is. this is absolutely the perfect confluence of circumstances. When Joe Flacco came in, the type of offense that Kevin Stefanski likes to run, the way that Joe Flacco sort of takes direction or learns or works, Joe Flacco's personality for Amari Cooper's personality, Joe Flacco's personality for Alex Van Pelt's personality, Joe Flacco's personality for this team that is led by this defense. Like, this is just the perfect situation. I don't know that if the Jets called Joe Flacco a month ago, Joe Flacco is succeeding in the same way that he's succeeding right now in Cleveland with this team and this line. And I'll give you another one. The Jets last week started their 12th different offensive line combination. They have not had any sort of stability there. And I know that the Browns also lost their right tackle, lost their backup right tackle. Yes, obviously. But still, there has been some stability for that Browns line. The Jets haven't had any of that. So that's a big piece of it as well, I think.
We'll take the Flacco success. It's been awesome and great for us as a show producing content. Aditi, I'm going to give you
and that's all that matters.
Yes. I'm going to give you a
I mean,
question.
it is only about us. That's what it is. Like, every week I sit here and people talk about the games that I get, and I'm like, it's only about the storytelling that I want to do and how easy it is to get in and out of the city of where I'm going. Those are the key parameters here.
Well, if you're trying to get in and out of Cleveland tonight, it's going to be tough. You better get down to the Muni Lot now and be ready to leave before kickoff.
But don't I wish I could be there? Unfortunately, no.
Aditi, I'm going to give you two scenarios. You have to tell me. You can't say both. You have to pick one or the other, okay?
Okay.
What's more likely to happen? Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year or Stefanski wins Coach of the Year? Which one is more likely to be the outcome after Week 18?
I think Myles. And I'm not saying that that's fair or right. And I think that there's a very, very interesting, strong argument to be made for Micah Parsons. There's obviously a strong argument to be made for TJ Watt. I think that it will likely be a close race. I think that the Coach of the Year thing, I mean, I really think that Kevin Stefanski deserves it. I do, considering all of the players that were lost, the way that everything was held together, how he just has kept this team rolling, and this team never hung its head. Never, ever, ever. Not after Nick Chubb, not after the in and out with Deshaun Watson and then the final out. Just never. But I think Coach of the Year is something that you see not necessarily go to the same person, if that makes sense. And it's been only, 3 years since Kevin won last?
Yep, that's been my point this whole time.
I just think that isn't that funny, Jason, that we kind of once again landed at the same point. But
which is so dumb,
I don't know,
by the way.
If the Texans make the playoffs, I think people are going to be so excited by DeMeco Ryans turning around a team where nothing was expected and a rookie quarterback who's exceeded expectations. Right. And, in many ways, it was Kevin Stefanski winning it that year, that COVID year, taking a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in forever. So I just think that people kind of get suckered into sexier storylines, and for us, because we live here and we've spent our careers sort of, or at least the last decade of our careers in the AFC North, we know how significant what's happening in Cleveland is. But these awards are sometimes more about sort of national cachet, and I don't know that gets picked up quite as much in 31 other cities.
Aditi, you're 100% right. Myles Garrett is more likely to win, even though I would argue Kevin Stefanski clearly has the stronger case. In fact, I don't think there's an argument for another coach.
There's always guys you can choose from for Coach of the Year. There's Dan Campbell in Detroit,
McVay.
Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay. There's always other.
I hear you.
Easy slam
but if
dunks.
you look at it unbiasedly, there's no argument for anyone over Stefanski.
I totally agree with you.
And the fact that sports writers vote based on a sexy story is a shame on them. They're failing at their jobs. They're doing a poor job at their job.
Adam, when is life fair? I mean, this is like, how did Mike McDaniel put it earlier in the year? If you're worrying about what's fair, then you've already lost. It's like yelling at thunder. That's what he said. It's like yelling at thunder. If you sit here and you say, well, this doesn't make sense, or this isn't fair, or this is not, we're not in a meritocracy. We're just not. And when you're in a subjective business, I mean, I know that there are people who sit here and say, oh yeah, sure, Kevin Stefanski has lost however many people to IR and how many stars, but he arguably has the deepest defensive roster in the NFL. So, like you could sit here and argue it however you want when it's ultimately a subjective thing. I agree with you, but I think sitting here and saying, well, it's not fair, like that's how these things work. It's all politics.
And that's fine. I ultimately don't care whether Kevin Stefanski wins Coach of the Year or not. I am all about doing what's right and leaving biases out of it. That's how I live my life. And I hate that that we should just accept it and should never do anything to change it. That is maybe the biggest flaw in our entire country, is that everybody's just okay with it not being a meritocracy.
Well, there is actually precedent to it. I looked this up the other day. I just looked it up again. Ron Rivera won it twice in 3 years, and Bruce Arians won it twice in 3 years, and it just so happened.
Ron Rivera's a terrible coach.
Yeah, but didn't Bruce Arians win it at 2 different clubs? Twice in 3 years and 2 different teams?
Bruce. So it went Bruce in Indy, Ron in Carolina, Bruce in Arizona, Ron in Carolina. So and I mean Belichick.
But you're talking about
times.
A decade ago. You're talking about a long time ago.
I think the only way Stefanski wins Coach of the Year is if they somehow end up as the number 1 seed. If that happens, if they win out, the Ravens lose out, unlikely, and then the Bills beat the Dolphins, the Browns would be the number 1 seed, and then you'd have to give it to them.
I agree with that. If they're the 1 seed, you have to give it to them.
Yeah.
But short of that, I don't think he's.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, I think they're going to have no choice.
I mean, that's fair. It's kind of like MVP, right? Don't you sit here and it's in a lot of ways you are quibbling, squabbling. It's what a voter values more than something else. But I can't disagree with you. I think that he is Coach of the Year. I think what he has done. And I also consider past baggage in that formula and everything that you have to upend and deal with.
Right.
And all of that matters to me, but I'm not a voter. So
apparently they're building a new wing onto the studio.
I don't know what's happening
for the Brown Super Bowl trophy that's incoming. Can you hear that?
Hey, whoever's hammering upstairs, stop doing it. We're doing a TV show
There's
here.
literally like construction going on.
Hammering for another.
Well, I can't hear
minutes.
that. I mean, all I know is that I hear when people are tossing water bottles into garbage cans. So
They
took the garbage away.
First of all, that was mostly Jay,
And
a
me.
little bit of Jason.
And me. They took the garbage can away because the children couldn't behave themselves.
By the
Just so
way,
you wouldn't
Aditi,
do it
who would you vote for MVP if you had a vote?
Oh, gosh. I haven't thought about this one enough.
Tough
So
one.
it's hard to argue. For me, it is really hard to argue. I hate that it's a position that is so biased toward the quarterback, but it's like you asking me about the Joe Flacco, Myles Garrett thing. Joe Flacco touches the ball on every single play, every single offensive play, unless you're running a wildcat. But basically, every single offensive play, your quarterback is touching the ball. And you rely on your quarterback for so many things. Getting in and out of the right play, setting the right protection, whether it's making the proper pitch or throwing an accurate ball, whatever, all of those things, to be the leader in the huddle, everything. So it's hard to look away from Brock Purdy and the way that he's playing. And I understand that he's not necessarily making the game-breaking play.
And he
that
had a
Lamar
terrible
Jackson
game this
is.
past weekend.
Okay, so again,
Yeah.
and he also didn't have a great game against the Browns.
Yeah.
It's hard to look away from what Brock Purdy has done, and I also don't think that calling someone a game manager is the worst thing. Because I'll take you to what Bill Belichick was saying to us weeks and weeks ago. We were talking about Tua. It was the week that the Dolphins were playing the Patriots, and I had asked Belichick, when you look at Tua, what's sort of the biggest area of growth since you first saw him? And he said, he's doing the best job getting the ball to the right guy in the right place at the right time. And he said, yards are not about the quarterback. They're about, nobody gets yards. The way that Belichick said it is, nobody gets yards until the ball is actually in their hands. And he was comparing Tua to Brady to a good point guard. And the example he used is, if your guy hits a great 3 at the baseline, then why are you feeding him a 3 at the top of the key? Keep feeding him the 3s at the baseline, and that's where he'll be money. And he said the best quarterbacks know who to get the ball to, when to get them the ball, and where to get them the ball. So that essentially is saying game manager is not a bad thing.
Right.
But up until now, it would be hard to argue against Brock Purdy, but what Lamar did, the way that Lamar is playing, the fact that Lamar is in a brand new offense with brand new wide receivers, and yes, we can say they're talented, but there is certainly a growth curve in all of that. The way that Lamar constantly gets knocked and just keeps producing, and the fact that Lamar can indeed carry his team, that he is not just a smart, heady quarterback, but he is also a game breaker. I think right now I'd have to go with Lamar.
I was thinking Lamar. I actually think I want to see how the last 2 weeks play out. I think you can make a very strong case for Josh Allen, who kind of got buried early in the season because he didn't play great early. He's got 40 total touchdowns.
It's like 8 more than anyone else in football.
Way more than Lamar.
Also hard to argue. Also had to adjust to a new offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. I would say it would be much better for him that that it was a long overdue move sort of to go to Joe Brady right there and move on from Ken Dorsey. I agree with you. But again, I think the end of the season really matters here. And again, do you see it as a summary of 18 total weeks, or is it the team that's playing the best when you want them to play the best? Is it someone who has overcome something? And in a lot of ways, Josh Allen carried a team that at one point looked like it was dead.
Yeah.
And does not necessarily have the benefit of the same type of defense that Lamar Jackson does.
Right. Now, I do think Lamar and Josh Allen are asked to do more at that position than any other quarterbacks. Those two guys.
Yes.
I think have more on their shoulders than any. I think it's between the two of them for me, but we'll see. All right, Aditi, enjoy the game. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you as always.
All right.
Thank you.
Can't wait, guys.
Bye.
Have fun.
Bye.
Be safe in that Muni lot.
It's going to be fun.
Who would you guys vote for right now before we get to the draft here?
Lamar.
Lamar.
You're not considering Josh Allen.
Well, you said who did I vote for?
Lamar.
I would vote for Lamar.
Lamar's got Josh Allen. I think has 15 more touchdowns than Lamar.
Just because I said Lamar doesn't mean I didn't consider Josh Allen. I just said Lamar. I'd vote for Lamar.
Very
Two-time
close.
MVP if he wins it.
Yeah, I know.
See, that's a narrative that. Are you comfortable with Lamar as a two-time MVP?
He's having the best year.
Is he having a better year than Josh Allen? By what?
His team success.
But
Well,
it's not a team award.
yeah.
I think he's the MVP, but I'm not stamping. I'm not writing it in pen.
Yeah.
It is thin pencil.
What if the
line.
Bills end up winning the AFC East, which they very well could?
Well, then we'll revisit this in 2 weeks.
Okay. All right, Anthony, what do you got for us?
All right, guys. So before we get into our draft, I
draft
just want to remind everybody that you can like and subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show right here on YouTube. Like and subscribe is totally free. We have memberships if you would like to monetarily support and get some overtime content. We're going to be talking about the Cavs comeback last night. And, yeah, we're going to get into our draft now.
Okay.
You know what's funny about this?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this. Give me the parameters again. How are we doing this? It seems to change every week.
I know.
What are the
What do you
parameters?
like about that?
What happens every week is that Jay kind of just takes it however he wants to take it, and so it makes it seem like it's changing every week.
Let's define the
Mike,
guidelines.
yeah,
of
go
that.
ahead, Mike.
I have tried to explain this every
Yeah.
week, and some people listen, some people don't. I won't attach names to it, Jay,
Yeah.
but some people listen and some people don't. I love you, Jay. But it is the 10 best players on the field.
On the field.
For
Not the most
Thursday.
important.
Not the most
The
important.
10 best.
The 10
best players.
best
Okay,
players.
'cause that-
Now, positional value does not matter.
Yeah.
So just because Joe Flacco is a quarterback, you don't think he's one of the top 10 players, which
Yeah.
I'll see. I'm curious if Jay was here, he'd be the second pick. I'm sure.
He'd be the first pick, I think, right
Maybe.
now.
Well, that's where I was going with
Yeah.
this, is we have just been...
He's the most valuable.
We've been tearing each other's heads off all
Yeah.
week over Miles or Flacco, who's the more
Right
important.
now, Joe Flacco is the most valuable.
But Miles is the number one player in the
Miles
draft
is my
every
number one
week.
draft pick.
Because
And
he's the
he's
best
mine
player.
because he's like
Yes.
that's what I'm saying.
This is the
Like,
10 best. Positional value
that's
is
why I
not
wanted
supposed to
clarity
matter.
on
Yes.
that.
yes. So
Because actually, I would probably have Njoku really high if we're talking about
Value.
value to
No,
the
this is
team
the
right
10
now.
best.
10 best
all right,
players
so
on the
Miles
field.
Garrett's one. Everybody
Miles is
agrees?
my vote for
Miles
one.
is
Yes.
one.
By the way, I have a top 17 just
Okay.
just in case.
So
There's a lot of good. There's a lot more good players.
So
this
for
team.
You did
number-
your homework. I am going to copy off you.
So the candidates for two, let's throw out a few candidates.
Sauce Gardner.
Amari Cooper, Sauce Gardner,
Quinn
Denzel Ward,
Williams,
Quinnen Williams.
Denzel Ward.
I said Denzel Ward.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
I said my guy. I think Sauce is that good. I think he's the best cornerback in the league.
I went with Quinn in it too.
I had Sauce.
I'll go with Sauce Gardner.
I had Sauce at 3 for the record. So
Two.
Sauce Gardner, cornerback.
Number 3, I'm going Amari Cooper.
I had Quinnen at 2, so I got to put Quinnen, by the way, second highest defensive tackle PFF grade in football.
I'm going to say
second most
Quinnen
interior
because
pressures.
of the heel injury to Amari.
All right.
How about that, Jets?
And I had Amari at 4, by the way.
That's
for
Jets
the record.
propaganda from you guys, you New York biased people. All right, so Quinnen Williams.
I had Amari at 4.
There's no tiebreakers because there's only 3 of us.
Right.
All right, so I'm going Amari at 4.
I'll go Amari.
So for the record, I had a different order. Those are my top 4. Do we all agree that in some order those are the top 4
Yeah,
players?
probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
5, I'm going.
I think it's going to be a run of Browns from here on out.
I'm going Denzel at 5.
I actually went JOK at 5. I had Denzel at 6. I went JOK at 5. He's playing so good right now.
All right, Jason.
I'll actually agree with Mike.
Okay,
I'll take
JOK at 5.
Now I had Denzel at 6 for the record. So that's our top 5. 3
We
Browns.
are
You don't have to
blowing
keep saying
through
for the
this.
record, Mike. Nobody cares about the record.
I care
the
about
only
the
record
record.
is what
Fastest
ends up as the
draft.
top.
I
we've
care
ever
about
done.
the record. I
We
want
are
people to know I did
blowing
my
through
homework.
this. Normally, there's a little bit more.
Well, I think after 6, I think there's a lot of.
Okay, 6 Denzel Ward, or you
That's
got
fine.
somebody else?
That's
6.
the lowest we've put Denzel, I think, all year.
Yeah.
Well, when's the last
All
time
right.
he has been the best cornerback in
Now,
the game?
Yeah.
arguments for 7. Joe Flacco.
Nope.
The other Jets corner, what's his name?
DJ Reed
DJ Reed.
or Michael Carter. I went with Brees Hall.
I'm throwing. Oh, Brees Hall. I forgot about
him.
Brees Hall.
I forgot about him.
What about Garrett Wilson?
I had him at 8.
What about
Njoku,
Njoku?
Emerson.
I'd actually,
Teller.
if we're going just based on talent,
Yeah.
Garrett
Bitonio.
Wilson. Garrett Wilson. That's a
Garrett Wilson a better wide receiver than Bitonio as a guard? Right now, yes.
Right now,
Right
yes.
now, yeah, he is.
Is he better
Garrett-
than Teller as a
Garrett-
guard?
Yes.
Is Teller better than Bitonio now? I think he might be this year.
This year he has been.
I think
yes.
he's been better.
Which is a problem because the Browns just redid Bitonio's contract. They did redid.
Well,
redid
Bitonio's
both of
still
them.
good.
They did redid both of them. But
Bitonio's still good.
Joel's older.
Uh,
I think Garrett Wilson
Garrett
is
Wilson,
phenomenal. He just didn't have anybody
Brees
throwing it
Hall.
to him.
Is Garrett Wilson better than Brees Hall? I like Brees Hall.
I had them 7 and 8 for me. So
I'll go Brees Hall. Who are you going with?
I had Brees Hall at 7.
Okay,
And I had
Brees-
Garrett Wilson at 8.
All right, I'll go with Garrett Wilson at 8. You too. You already said Garrett
I
Wilson.
had Garrett
Brees Hall
Wilson.
7. Garrett. So it's not a big run of Browns.
No, it's really not. I
I
forgot about.
had 6-4 Browns Jets in my top 10.
All right, go ahead. That's 8. So we got how many? What is it? 4 and 4 right now.
It's 4-4 right now.
All right. So for 9, we got Njoku,
Emerson,
Emerson,
Michael Carter,
Flacco.
Flacco. I'm
Wyatt
going Flacco
Teller.
at 9. The way he's playing right now.
I went Njoku.
Well, that would be the two I'm.
Well, what
debating
about
between.
Wyatt Teller?
Teller.
I would put.
You got the
Flacco.
Jets' other corners. I'm not putting those guys.
I put
Screw
Flacco
those
and
guys.
Njoku on there. I don't really care the order. It's 9 and 10. I don't care. Is that the wrong answer?
I got Flacco 9 and Teller 10. He's got Flacco.
I had
Flacco.
Njoku 9, Emerson 10.
Well, I'll say Njoku
All right, so Njoku's 9.
and Flacco 10.
So Flacco's 10.
Flacco 10.
And I like my guy Emerson. It is actually closer than I thought.
And like some Jets
Well,
guys,
the Jets have a few really good
Really good
players,
players.
and
The
then
top-
the rest of the team sucks.
the top end talent is relatively similar, and then there's a giant drop off, and you go into like
Well, for
15 through
Yeah.
whatever.
For years, the Browns have not had that second-tier talent. That's
Correct.
been the problem.
Correct.
They've had a lot of top-tier talent.
Yep.
Maybe not at the positions that are sexy, but for a number of years when the Browns are bad, they've had a number of first, but they never had a big second. Now they got a massive second tier.
Yes, they've got
As
there's
big
a
as they've
ton of
ever
depth.
had.
There's a ton of depth on
Yeah.
this team.
I just realized something from this. I'm a produce out here while I'm on the chair.
Yeah.
This segment works way better when I tell Jay one thing and you guys the other, and you guys can argue over nonsense
Right,
for
right,
the sake of TV.
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
way too
I
simple.
looked at Steve. I'm like, this was supposed to go another 10
This
minutes.
is way too simple. Way too simple.
We flew through that. All right, well, let's.
Do you guys want to recap real quick? We can
Go ahead.
over-
Yeah,
do the recap. We can, and then we can talk little Cavs then during the show. If we have a little time.
It's all right. Go ahead. Nobody cares.
All right, so
about
your
the Cavs
first
that much.
5, you got Myles Garrett, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Amari Cooper, and JOK. Then Denzel Ward, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, and David Njoku, and Joe Flacco.
I have no problem with that top 10. I think those are the 10 best guys. If you want to make the case for Emerson over Flacco or Njoku, I'll hear it. I think it's
The Muni lot is already open,
open at noon, right?
and I'm just showing a video of.
Yeah, you're showing us. No one else can see it.
Well, I know. I'm just showing you guys.
Is this
but-
something they can pull up? Is that on Twitter?
Yeah, let me text this. I don't know who tweeted this out.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
the
Neil Fisher, WKYC. That's perfect. Let me text. Who do I send it to?
Just DM it to Ant.
DM it to you.
Mary Kate's way the Browns have elevated both the kicker and the punter off practice squad. Those
Yeah.
are the 2 game day elevations, so Bojorquez is out.
Okay.
Officially, yeah.
And
So
the
I
punter,
just texted it to you, Anthony.
the punter will be the holder tonight. Like that's a concern that we really haven't talked about
That's
at all.
true.
I asked you pre-show about that.
Not only is there a new kicker, but it's a whole new combination. So how much? I mean, obviously these guys have had a few reps this week.
Yeah.
But-
And they're both veterans. The punter's been in
Yeah.
the league a long time.
Yeah.
It's more of a timing and a rhythm thing.
Yeah. So
But-
Matt Hack is the punter, and Riley Patterson. If I would have told you a week ago, yeah, our punter and kicker are going to be Matt Hack and Riley Patterson.
Like
what?
whoever, and I never went back and looked at the kickoff return.
Yeah.
Whoever blew the coverage on that kickoff return should be fined because you cost them the kicker and the punter.
That's
true.
On that kickoff return for a
That's
touchdown.
true. That-
You
Yeah.
cost them both. Whoever you are, shame
Yeah.
on you.
And and most importantly, you cost me a couple of fantasy points on that. I'm not happy about it. No, that's not most important. Go ahead, Anthony. What was that?
Oh, I have the video you guys wanted from the.
All right,
Yeah.
this is the Muni Lot already, and we're little under 8 hours before the game. There's already a lot of cars in there, and buses and vans.
Now,
Doesn't look like a lot of people. Everybody's just sitting in their cars right now. I'm not sure.
Kevin told everyone to be responsible tonight. And
That's not happening.
Make sure you're around for the fourth quarter and not
Yeah.
blacked out in your seat. So
Can the son-in-law please stop? I know it's not going to happen. He hasn't listened to me.
No, it's not gonna
But
happen.
can son-in-law please stop referring to the whole stadium as the dog pound? Why hasn't anybody corrected him on that? For those who don't know what
Who's
I'm
gonna
talking about, I'm
correct-
talking
who's
about
gonna
Jimmy
correct him?
Haslam's son-in-law. What's that?
Who's going to correct him? Like, why would he listen to any of us?
you don't want my thoughts on the dog pound. It's game day.
Yeah,
They're going to clinch
yes,
the
we do.
playoffs.
Can
No,
we
you
have your thoughts on the dog
You don't
pound?
want my thoughts.
Not today.
The dog. No,
Dog pound
I'm
is
not
dead.
doing it.
Not
There's
today.
no dog
Yes.
pound.
The dog pound
Don't
is
get
dead.
baited in. He's trying to
The
bait.
dog.
Don't get baited in.
The people already hate me. Why are you doing this to me?
No, fans agree. Most fans agree.
The dog pound died with the old stadium.
It did.
There is no dog pound.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing is over. It's over. Like,
Could it
this
be
is a whole new.
If the Browns get a new stadium, can it be recreated
No.
or replicated?
There was something special. You just had to be there at the old stadium to see how close it was to the end zone number one. Like you were right on top of them, and the fact that you could throw things on the field, and people were throwing batteries and dog bone. Like John Elway would be standing in the end zone, and fans would be firing fastballs at him, hitting him with batteries. Go ask old players. They were pinking off the helmets.
Yeah.
All kinds of objects being thrown at them. It was a different world, man.
Right.
It was the route. True story. I got stoned in the dog pound at like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Because the people
Secondhand stone?
Secondhand stone because I was there. It was a preseason game. It was a Brown Steelers preseason game, and my brother took me to the game, and I got just stoned from the people behind us. So this is like mid '80s.
Yeah.
And we went down to get food, and I'm under the concession stand. I'm like, I don't feel so good, and threw up all over the place.
Well, now you can legally get stoned.
Now you can legally get stoned
Yeah.
in the dog pound, but it was just a different.
Yeah.
It was cool. The old stadium was it was awful, but the dog pound version of it, like it was the bleachers. It was the center field
Yeah.
bleachers. for the
You know it was a
stadium.
baseball football, right?
Yeah, and it was. I think it had a lot to do with just how close you were to the field, and I mean it was nuts in there. It
Yeah.
truly was like Rikers.
And son-in-law
in the
just
dog
doesn't
pound.
get it.
No, what they've done now, this is not the dog pound.
No.
Not even
It's a
close.
great atmosphere, and it's become a great atmosphere, I feel like, this year. And there's a lot of energy, and the crowd's going to be awesome.
Like it's okay to come up with something.
something new.
Washington still doesn't refer to themselves as the Hogs from the '80s. You
No,
know,
right.
like that died.
yeah.
It's time. I just think it's time.
And
for
Not
something.
fans wearing pig noses anymore.
They've
Right.
been good at home under
Hog
Stefanski.
nose.
Like they're 7-1 this year.
Yeah.
I forget the exact number, but they're like 15 games over 500 at home during Stefanski's tenure.
Yeah.
So it's been a home field advantage.
Yeah.
That's right. By the way,
They
speaking
need
of
their
old
own
school,
identity.
there's a video going around today where radio guy Tony Rizzo is on the field, and he has a full head of hair. Or he has a full head of some hair-like material on his head. I don't know.
Why do you do this? Why do you do this? Now you get us in trouble.
Hey! Who's getting in trouble? You don't want to talk about it? Don't talk about it.
But it's like guilt by association. I'm leaving in cuffs because I'm sitting next to you.
How would you get in trouble? What power does he have to get anybody in
No,
trouble?
none. He is none.
None.
But
Mike, you want to talk about it?
I've never met the man in my life.
All right. I mean,
I don't know.
we
Beautiful head
don't
of
know
hair.
that it was a rug on his head. Maybe it was his real hair.
It looked real to me.
Why would anybody ever wear a toupee? Why?
And
I don't understand
Hey,
it.
you guys want to do headlines?
I have to
I know
do-
we're a little early.
No, I'm scared. I'm not just making fun of Tony Rizzo. I'm just saying, why would anybody wear a toupee?
It gets cold in the winter in Cleveland. Hair helps. That's all I got for you.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'll be home in a little bit. I'm just totally ignoring Bull right now. Yep. Okay. Bye.
Would you ever, Mike? Are you ever going to wear a toupee if you lost your hair?
No.
I'm getting there.
But you'd never wear a toupee, would
No,
you?
I'd shave my head. I'd
Yeah,
give up and
I-
shave.
I-
I had my mother had a cousin years ago who would wear a toupee, and it looked ridiculous. Nobody ever looks good in a toupee, except for Tony Rizzo. He looked great.
All right, let's do
get the
headlines. Let's do anything
Oh
at
my
all
God.
besides this.
People are
Bull,
so
your
uptight,
headline
Jake.
is first up, by the way.
What's that?
You got the first headline up here.
Yeah, let's get to it.
We have a little more
headline.
time to expand on headlines today.
Good.
This is old school. Remember we used to do it before DeQuell, and we bring DeQuell on after
That's
last
right.
year?
That's right.
We'll throw back to the.
We never hear from DeQuell anymore.
He doesn't even answer my texts anymore.
I saw him in the locker room once.
How's he doing?
We talked for
I miss him. He's a great
less than
guy.
30 seconds,
No.
and he had to go.
You see him today. Tell him what's up.
He does. See, he doesn't wear a wig. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, so here's your first headline, Bull.
Jets grounded. Browns defense racks up 7 sacks. You changed my sub-headline.
Did I?
It said Myles Garrett, comma, Browns defense rack up 7 sacks in dominating 23-3 fashion. I thought it was important to have Myles Garrett as part of the sub-headline.
Well, he's in the picture.
Okay, because I think he's going to lead the team with 3 sacks tonight. The Browns are going to run roughshod defensively on the Jets. Their offensive line is trash. Their quarterback is trash. They have 2 great players in Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. Their tight end's a decent player. I dismissed
Conklin.
him yesterday. He's a decent player. The rest of their offense is trash. And Myles Garrett is sick of this crap of getting no sacks. He's had a ton of pressures. He's got all the great PFF grades. It's time to put the sacks back on the board. He has 13, right?
13.
He will have 16 when we go to bed tonight. If we go to bed tonight, we may stay up all night. 16 sacks. Myles Garrett has 1, 2, 3 tonight. Get it done. Jets score 3 points.
16 would put him in a tie with T.J. Watt for first in the NFL.
Yes.
He's down by 3. 3 would
A big night on a national TV game when you're the only game
clinch.
going tonight.
Propaganda
it could
galore.
really
Yeah.
gas his chances.
Yeah.
For sure.
especially after the. I don't want to call it a slump because he's still getting pressures, but in terms of actual
Sack
sacks,
slump.
it's a sack slump.
Yeah.
And when you go through that 4-week stretch to be, like you said, the headline game,
Yeah.
and the marquee player in said headline game against an offensive line, which you alluded to, which is abysmal. Abysmal. The
Yeah.
highest PFF grade of any of their starters, the 57, which, as we've all learned, sucks in this year's PFF system.
Right, yeah.
If they can't destroy this offensive line, make
Yeah.
Trevor Simeon's life a living hell,
They will.
then something's gone wrong.
And it's not like Trevor. It's not like, well, they have a terrible offensive line, but they got a mobile quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Trevor Simeon.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
not. He's not good at anything. He's
No.
terrible. He's not an NFL quarterback. He's at best, a lower tier backup. At best,
That might even be generous.
that might be generous.
See,
Yeah.
now I'm getting texts. Why are you the way you are? I'm kidding.
He got you. He got you. That,
did get me.
that was good. That
Because
was good.
I was going to be annoyed.
That was good.
Why can't any people make fun of me? They make fat jokes. I don't give a rat's ass. So Tony Rizzo wore a wig on his head. He put a lawn on his head. Good for him. I mean, there's worse things about him. I won't go there. All right, next
All right,
headline.
Jason,
Who's
you're up next.
I forget.
Jason,
Oh yeah, I
you
remember.
forgot what
what
you
you
thrown
said.
off right now.
'Twas 3 nights before New Year's, and all through. Oh, you used the wrong one. I'm kidding. Jet propelled into the postseason. Browns clinch playoffs with 20-7 win over New York. I'll give the Jets 1 touchdown, maybe on a short field, something like that. I don't think it's going to be. Tyvus thinks it's going to be a really close, low-scoring game. I tend to agree with the low-scoring, 2 good defenses, but I don't think the Browns. I think this, by the 2-minute warning show, I think this one will be wrapped up. Hope I'm right. I usually am.
That would be lovely because we've had some long 2-minute warning stretches from when the 2-minute warning begins to the game ends.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a late night with an early turnaround for us tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that would be quite pleasant, and I would thank the Browns a lot if this game could be wrapped up.
Yeah, I would too. I won't be leaving the stadium until 3 or 4 in the morning tonight, and I got to be back on set. Who is it tomorrow? It's you, me, and Tyvus?
Tyvus
tomorrow?
Is it. Yeah, Tyvus is it.
Nice.
All right, and am I up?
Yeah.
By the
you're
way,
up
I
next.
noticed on the top of the paper there it said G versus Tyvus for the fantasy championship, which is in fact the case. Mike, who had the best record in the league until the last week of the season, finished in 6th. You even lost to Jay in the 5th place consolation game, which is pointless. I don't even know if you set your lineup.
I didn't change my lineup, so yeah.
It's because he took the week off. He rested his guys the week before.
That's true.
That's why.
That screwed you
No,
up.
you beat me in the last week, which is
Didn't beat
actually
him.
you screwed me.
Yeah.
My team sucked.
CJ Stroud getting concussed is what did me dirty.
Yeah.
So
You got to always be prepared for injuries, like the Browns. You're no Browns.
Well, no, I played him in the game. He got hurt. He just did nothing.
No
Him and
excuse.
Nico Collins.
No
But it is what it is.
Suck it
I
up.
had a good
Let's
team.
go. You're up.
All right, so this is the YouTube version. So we get a little more risque than when we do headlines on the TV.
Yeah.
So how about the Jets flacked around, found out. Super Joe 2.0's revenge tour starts with a win over the Jets as the Browns clinch a playoff berth. I expect Flacco, despite going up against a much better pass defense, to still be the Joe Flacco we've seen the last couple weeks. Maybe not 370 yards, but a competent performance. I do not trust the Jets' offense to be able to score in this Browns defense, barring any sort of turnover that sets them up inside the red zone. I can't
Which could
imagine.
definitely happen.
Which could happen. I just can't imagine any scenario where Trevor Siemian is sustaining long drives against
chance.
Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, JOK,
Yeah.
and the rest of the dogs on that defense. We had Joe Charbonneau. Now we have Super Joe 2.0, little iteration. I'm all on the Joe Flacco bandwagon. And until he isn't Super Joe anymore, I'm not betting against him.
If he throws for 300 yards this week, he's signing to a 5-year extension.
I go 7. I go 7.
Go ahead, Jason. What was your comment?
You said you're going to get more risque. I thought your headline was going to have to do with girls and cups.
Well, that only worked with Cooper Kupp.
He sent me a headline. He's like, think we can get away with this? It's like,
The amount of headline iterations we have gone through this season because we're on TV for on the linear show.
Yeah.
Mike sends me 3 or 4 before we can actually
We
nail
have
one
to
down.
we have to
Whittle
wean
it
down.
down
Yeah, we have
to
to wean down.
clean it up, sanitize
Well, some
it.
puns are like, I always try to make something that's not.
Yeah, when we're on KYC, they're a little
That's
more
real-
uptight about the standards
Yeah.
there.
So, but I sent Anthony a couple, and Anthony's a trooper. Like, I sent him one with when they played the Bears. I tried making a Beatles reference, something about Sackberry Fields, and Ant's like, nah, like,
No.
probably not. So we whittle him down until we get to something good.
Yeah.
But I only sent you one this week. That was it.
It's true. He only
That
sent me
was it.
one, and I'm not afraid to tell him when his are bad. So hopefully he wouldn't be afraid to tell me if my first headline this season was bad.
Ant made a headline.
Well,
yeah.
before you put your headline up, Jason had a question.
Well,
Go
no,
ahead.
I was just impressed by how much thought you put into this because normally Ant texts me at like 8 a.m. the
Yeah.
morning of the headline.
no. Time
and I
out,
just
time out.
rip something off
Nope,
real
nope,
quick.
time
while
out,
I'm
time
looking-
out.
Fourth text, Steve.
That,
Yeah.
Anthony sends it on Wednesday. Hey,
Yeah.
I need headlines. On Thursday.
This
You
is
haven't sent
true.
a headline yet. Send it by Friday morning. I'm like, Ant, has Jason sent you a headline?
Then Thursday afternoon, he sends the list of people who have not sent.
And I still don't send
Yeah,
it in
right.
until. And I used to be really good at this. I used to be really quick at getting back on everything. Now I'm like,
No.
am I last? Usually, am I last?
You or G,
no,
probably.
G.
G or G. It's always a toss.
We have to keep G in studio on Thursdays to make sure he gives us what he needs before he leaves because there's no guarantee he sends it in before.
No.
I love G.
It'll be my New Year's resolution to get back to you in a more timely
Not
fashion.
surprisingly,
I'll break that by January 17th, probably.
not surprisingly, or maybe coincidentally, would be the better word. You and G are also the two
Most forgetful.
I like you leave things all the time.
Yeah.
G's actually you're bad, and he's actually worse than you. I would say half the time he leaves here, I'm like, G, you left your phone or you left your ID.
Well,
half the time.
I don't know where my watch is now. It's somewhere in the house. Like the last known location is
Yeah.
in my house.
Why don't you put it away in the same spot every
Well,
day?
now that I've been to Jason's house, let me
You
let me
saw
add a
my
little.
desk.
Jason's office is
Yeah.
set up like my dream office,
yeah. Except it's
minus
messy.
7,000 objects on his desk and floor. You're like tiptoe. I felt like
I
was
bet you
stepping
you're
on-
very neat and organized, right?
I'm pretty neat and organized.
Everything's neat on my desk.
Oh, I should take a picture of my desk.
Oh my god.
And it
No,
actually-
it'll give you an aneurysm. You might kill.
I
him.
am so uptight about neatness.
And it's a
organization.
gorgeous desk.
And the first thing I said, I was like, "Ooh, that desk is nice."
Yeah, it is.
I
He's
ha-
got 2 TV. He's got a really nice office.
I have like a
Crooked soundbar, but a
like
nice
a
office.
shoebox. It's not actually a shoebox, but something the size of a shoebox that I keep right next to my desk.
Mm-hmm.
And every day when I get home, I put my phone, wallet, and keys in there. Every day. And sometimes I take my phone out or whatever and use it. But I never use my wallet and keys in the house. So they go in there
Well,
and they
I mean,
don't come
sure,
out.
if you want to do it that way, but I think it's more fun to maybe your keys are hanging on the refrigerator, maybe they're on the nightstand, maybe they're on the pants you wore the day before. They could be on my desk. The wallet's probably in the car. If it's not in the car, it could be in the pants from the day before, maybe on the nightstand, possibly on the desk.
I will say the one downside of being organized is when something's not where it's supposed to be, it is all hell panic. Like 210. Like I couldn't find my wallet. Dude. I put my wallet in the
Yeah.
same place with my keys
Yeah.
where I charged my phone, and it wasn't there.
I
And I went through all 7 stages of
insanity.
I effed up.
The wallet especially. One time I couldn't find my keys, and the key, the box is, so it's my desk, and then there's this shelf with my box, and then on the other side is a garbage can. I had accidentally dropped my keys in the garbage can
you
once.
got to move that garbage can.
Now, if the garbage can wasn't there, then you've been fine. In Jason's theory.
I like the scavenger hunt myself.
Okay.
Where did I leave?
I think it's because it probably leads to arguments between you and your wife, and you enjoy that.
It drives her
crazy.
It drives her crazy that I truly, like, I make jokes about it, but I truly do have ADD. So my brain is just.
Why don't you take a medication for it?
Oh, that's medications for quitters. This is more fun.
And what's your headline?
Do you, wait, one more thing. One more thing. Do you, see, now I got these things. I can't remember what I was going to ask. Do your headline, then I'll remember the question.
It's just funny because Bree and I are the exact opposite of Jason and his wife, because Bree leaves everything everywhere and it drives me insane. All right. So my headline, I'm still banking on first place. We're taking first class tonight to first place. Browns are going to clinch the playoffs with a 14-3 win at home. I think it's still going to be super low scoring. I don't expect the Jets even to score a touchdown, just a field goal. And Flacco will pull 2 with short fields and turnovers.
All right, there you go.
I like
first class to first place.
A lot of plane and jet.
Right.
Headlines.
References.
Yeah.
Are you someone that leaves their car unlocked all the time?
It's in the garage.
Oh, okay.
But I have left it unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I get home, I lock my car, and then I go to my wife's car to make sure it's locked.
Really?
Yes.
You park outside or in the garage?
I have a 1-car garage.
Okay.
So when there's going to be snow, my wife parks in the garage.
Yeah.
But if there's not snow, we usually just both leave it in the
We've
driveway.
actually had a lot of break-ins in our.
In Avon Lake?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kids,
we
whatever.
have that at times.
We've had
too.
a lot of break-ins.
But that's why I always make sure the doors are locked. I mean, you can still break in, but
Yeah.
the kids are more likely to go into a car that's not locked.
I mean, so the one day I was at the radio station and I parked on the street.
Oh, that's bad.
I couldn't find my keys.
Yeah. Oh.
So my keys were in the car, but I couldn't find them. So I had to leave the car unlocked with the keys in it on the street in downtown Cleveland.
Was this the new car?
Yeah. It's the car I
Did
drive
anybody steal
now.
it?
No, but
I had my car stolen from there.
Did you really?
You guys, have I told the story?
No, I don't think so.
Let me tell this story real quick for those who don't know. So when I was still working on the fan, it was the night before Thanksgiving. I don't remember what year, probably 2015, maybe 16, a while ago. And I parked right in front of the building. For those who don't know, it's on Prospect. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's it's a side street, but it's a busy street.
Close enough to, yeah.
And I put my car out on the street. I come out of work at 7 o'clock. The car is gone. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So turned out my car was stolen.
Did you think it was towed for unpaid parking tickets?
No, I paid my parking tickets. I did get parking tickets in those days when I would park on the street.
I have one or two that I don't think I've ever paid.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I have one in L.A. I definitely never paid. In a rental.
Just don't go to L.A.
In a rental.
Yeah, well, and it's a rental. So I got a call like a few days later from the police saying, hey, we've recovered your car. And I said, okay. They said, it's totaled. It's destroyed. I'm like, well, what happened? They said, this is a true story. I didn't know people did this. So apparently there was a group of guys, I don't know if this is common or what. So they stole my car and they stole another car. And what they did was they used my car, which was a Jeep Liberty, as a battering ram.
What?
They drove it through the front of like a grocery store, I believe. And then they had a flatbed on the other car. They took the ATM. They used my car as the battering ram, left it there, I believe, and then got the ATM machine, put it on a flatbed truck of some sort or whatever.
And drove away.
Now they got caught.
Oh, I was going to say, man, that'd be great. We could call and report your car stolen, ram it into a store, steal the ATM, and get away with it.
For legal purposes,
They
this
did
is all
not get
hypothetical.
away with it, but my car was used as a battering ram in a robbery.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
I mean, is that crazy?
That's legit crazy.
Well, mine was not stolen, but I left.
You left it with the keys
And
in.
I went upstairs and told Dustin, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't find my keys. My car is
Yeah.
unlocked to the street. He's like, dude, are you nuts? You got to go down there and find it. And eventually, like, I did, like,
Yeah.
during a break or something. I think I
Yeah.
went down there and
Did you
I-
assume the keys were in the car?
Well, yeah, because it started, so it's a fob. The keys were somewhere in the
right,
car.
right.
I couldn't, and in my car, there's like some deep crevices that things can fall into, and I found it in a deep crevice, and I pulled them out. But for probably an hour or two,
Yeah.
I had a nice car sitting on the street with
Yeah.
the keys in it,
Very lucky.
unlocked, just waiting to be stolen.
Man, you're very lucky. Any super chats, Anthony?
Yeah, we got 3 today, and
Go
whenever
ahead.
we do super chats, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Are you looking for a job with career advancements and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, you guys can get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You go apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So our first one comes from Charles T. He wanted to send in his prediction for the game. Browns are going to win 31-6. Garrett's going to have 2 sacks.
I take that in a heartbeat. That'd be phenomenal.
31-6.
I'll take that.
That'd be
Okay.
phenomenal.
Wood Dog MTG wants to know, are any of us going down to the Muni lot tonight? I know I'm not.
Are you going, Mike? I'm not.
I'm going to West. So I don't know if I could say. I may be shooting some really cool content on West 6 with a former Browns player who's very famous who's been on this show. But I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say where he's supposed to be.
Well, you
Okay.
just said enough.
We know what you're
That's
talking
enough.
about.
There's not very
Okay.
many spots on. You want to give initials, or no?
Joe Thomas will be on West 6 today.
Oh.
That's not who I was thinking. I thought it was going to be Bernie.
Oh,
That's
Bernie's,
who I was
Bernie's
assuming,
always
too.
on West 6. No, I've been talking to Joe. We're trying to figure out something.
Nice,
wow.
very, very cool.
So Joe
Very
is
cool.
in town. I didn't. Oh, so maybe it's Joe that's
Oh, maybe it is Joe
doing the
tonight.
guitar.
He's done
could be
before.
Joe.
Joe's
Yeah,
done
it
before.
wouldn't be
that
that
big.
He was week 1, I think, or the week of the enshrinement,
I mean,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I guess it would have been week 1. They
Yeah.
couldn't have
Yeah.
been enshrinement week.
And Bernie's done it. You said already.
Bernie's done it.
I think so.
So
Jim
it's-
Donovan's done it.
Do we want to do real quick? Oh, you got another one?
I got one more real quick from P. Williams. This game is super hype. However, the 1980 Divisional Raiders and the 1987 drive in Cleveland Municipal Stadium with 10,000 more fans, it was absolutely the loudest.
I know, but that was 1,000 years ago. So it's like
This is
we're talking about in recent
in
history.
modern era. Yeah,
Yeah.
99.
I'm the oldest person here, and I was 16 for that for the '87 thing, and obviously I wasn't living
I
here.
remember. I vividly remember that
What were
87.
you, like 8?
I was -6.
I was 11.
Negative.
-6. 80. I thought 86 was the drive. Was it 87? Was 87 the drive and 88 the fumble? I thought it was 86 the drive and 80 whatever.
It was all around the same time.
Yeah, it was all around the same time.
Yeah,
That's
you guys
it,
want
Anthony.
to? That's it. You guys want to do your dream guitar smash?
No. Who would be the 5? We were talking about this before the show. Who would be the 5 most inappropriate choices? And not politicians or anything like that. Like somebody that
Yeah.
Browns related.
I mean-
5 most inappropriate choices.
Hugh Jackson.
Art Modell's son.
Art
or
Modell.
the corpse of Art Modell.
Yes.
God.
The corpse of Art Modell. Johnny Football.
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. Um,
Josh Gordon. Can we put
nah,
Josh
'cause
Gordon?
I feel like people don't hate Josh
No,
Gordon.
people like Josh Gordon.
He gave you moments.
All right. So it's Manziel, Hugh, anyone from the Art Modell family.
Brady Quinn.
I don't think he's hated.
What about
is
John
he?
Elway?
That would be funny. John Elway.
I was thinking of somebody who played for the Browns or coached or owned.
Well, I was just
but-
saying he's hated by Browns
Yeah,
fans.
Elway.
Can you imagine? Browns fans, get up for John Elway.
You can do Elway and then bring Russell Wilson with.
Oh
him
wait,
now.
worse. Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
that's a
If we're
good
gonna go
one.
that
That's a
route.
good
No, but I think we should stick with Brown. Somebody that was actually on part of the Browns organization.
Somebody look at the chat and see if there's.
Did
any-
somebody say Joe Woods yet? Because somebody in the chat said
Nah.
Joe Woods.
Yeah,
That
I'm-
can't rise to the
I'm pulling up the chat
That's
right
not
now.
fair.
Hugh,
Don't put Joe Woods in that category.
Hugh Manziel.
Spurgeon Wynn,
No.
No.
Hugh
Baker?
Manziel.
No.
Bill Cowher.
No.
Bill Cowher's claiming the Browns now.
Yeah, he loves the Browns now.
He did play here.
Yep.
Like he coached here and played here.
Justin Gilbert.
I don't think he
Brandon Whedon.
Poor Brandon got trapped under the flag and never left it down.
It went all downhill.
I
from
was
there.
at that
Someone
game.
says the homeless guy who told Haslam to draft Manziel. That was Freddie
That
B.
can't really be true, can it?
I don't. I've never followed up on that.
Can we just
Alex Shiner.
Oh man. Oh.
I don't think fans care about Alex Shiner,
No.
or many even remember who he was.
who Who's the guy that picked the Browns to lose? Adam Rank on NFL Network.
Yeah, but who cares about him? He's a
yeah.
nobody.
Barcavius Mingo.
He didn't do anything wrong. He just wasn't good.
I'll just read the names from the chat. Cade York. He'd miss it.
Doesn't Colin Cowherd hate Cleveland? I don't watch enough of him, but that'd be fun.
It's a
I
stick.
don't know.
It's a
He's
stick.
just doing shtick. Yeah.
I
feel Hugh, Johnny Football, and the corpse of Art Modell.
Randy Lerner.
Mike Holmgren.
Mike Holmgren.
That's a good one. Who came up with that one?
A couple people have dropped Holmgren.
Yeah,
in here.
Holmgren's not bad.
Mike Lombardi.
He doesn't rise to the level of.
Yeah, I guess not. What's his
Oh,
name?
Evan 419 said Holmgren. That's who said it.
What about
Mark Sanchez.
who was what's his name? The GM. He'd been with Philly. It was the GM when
Oh, Banner?
Banner,
Joe
yeah, Joe Banner.
I don't think he rises to the level.
No,
Jose Mesa.
poor Jose.
What if Jimmy Haslam does it himself? What if,
They've already thrown things at him once.
Oh, there he goes. Toilet paper on the foot.
We've really got next year. If I go to the owners' meeting,
Steve, I took that video out of the folder.
You got to get a new video.
Where'd you
I
find
dragged
that?
it back in for him.
Oh, you dragged it. I was gonna say I took that
We'll
out of
see
the
you on
folder.
overtime.